Honourable members, Mr. Speaker.
Prayers.
Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of humanity, we beseech you to look upon with your abundant favor these your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important trust in this land. Let your blessing descend upon them here assembled, and grant that they may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under their deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you've committed to their charge. Amen.
Item 2 on the order paper, communication from the chair.
Thank you, honorable colleagues. I welcome you to today's session. today's sitting. On Saturday, the country woke up to the shock of the tragedy that befell residents of Kiteezi landfill, residents around Kiteezi landfill, that has so far, according to the reports I've received, claimed 21 people. In the morning, the Prime Minister called me and said our government would be bringing a statement which I will amend the order paper to allow so that immediately after my communication, that statement can be presented. And also I received very many colleagues, especially MPs from Kampala, Mukono, who had matters to do with the same, and we agreed that during the debate of the statement from government, we shall be able to give it enough time. So, but in the meantime, honorable colleagues, I request you that we will stand and observe a minute of silence for our departed colleagues.
May the souls of the deceased rest in eternal peace.
Honorable colleagues, with that I can see the ministers are ready. Let's go to that same statement. A procedure, Honorable Seskubo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I didn't intend to stand when a sad statement was going to be made, but I'm rising under your communication. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to express concern that whereas we submitted a motion to your office on the 5th of August, and right now it is 13th August, we expected under our rules of procedure, Rule 110, by this time to have issued a notice to members of Parliament so that we know when this matter is coming up for debate, and knowing that the days are flying by, we thought we would be prepared, Right Honorable Speaker, so that even those members not around Kampala can be notified about that sitting, special sitting to discuss, to debate the motion of the censure of the 4 commissioners of Parliament. And we are seeing in the media hype that a particular court has sat, and we are saying, and we are going on record, it has not erased off our motion. It is still standing. Our prayers are different from those raised in the ruling, and therefore it cannot be affected by the court ruling. Mr. Speaker, sir, may we know as petitioners when a notice is due to be issued so that we can prepare accordingly for that debate. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. Indeed, it's good you've referred to Rule 110, and that some Rule 110.5 give the presiding officer 14 days. We don't need to put a public announcement that the members come from wherever you are. Every sitting is important here. Every sitting of Parliament is critical. A member should be here all the time. So we don't need to be putting a special announcement that we are informing you in advance, leave up country, come from wherever you are. Those who have not been attending, come and attend, because this time we have a motion. No. That would be wrong. So we have 14 days as per 110, sub-rule 5 of our rules of procedure, and you are still within time, and you wait, the communication is coming, Honorable Sechkubo. Thank you. Thank you. Colleagues, why don't we get this critical statement on Kiteezi? It's a sad day.
It's a quick one. The matter of urgent public importance of the Kiteezi landfill disaster. Our line minister of Kampala Capital City Authority has a statement, a similar statement. I would implore your chair to allow both statements to be tabled so that we comprehensively debate.
Yeah, but Lop, you know under Rule 53 of our Rules of Procedure, you can bring a statement, but you must give notice to the presiding officer. And your minister came to my office as I was going out, and I agreed with him that after the minister has presented a statement, during the debate, I'll give him sufficient time for him, yes, for him to make his views. So let's go to the statement.
Statement on Kiteezi landfill.
It's a substantive statement on its own on the order paper, so clerk kindly take note. Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, Kiteezi landfill is located 13 kilometers north of Kampala City.
Yes, Honourable Minister, is the statement uploaded?
Yes, I submitted it.
Okay. Clerk, ensure you display it on the screen.
Right Honourable Speaker, Kiteezi landfill is located 13 kilometers north of Kampala City Central in Kasangati Town Council, Wakiso District. It is primarily waste disposal site for Uganda's capital and its surrounding areas since 1997. The landfill covers an area of 29 acres and receives 2,500 tons of waste daily, making it a critical component of Kampala's waste management system. Right Honourable Speaker, Kampala Capital City landfill at Kiteezi Village, Masoli Parish in Kasangati Town Council, Wakiso District, collapsed in the early morning hours of Saturday, August 10th, 2024. Affected villages including Lusanja, Chitetika, and Kiteezi. The number of bodies recovered so far are 23, as at 7 p.m. on Monday. Right Honourable Speaker and members, the number of displaced persons registered at the temporary shelter by OPM and Red Cross is 56 households so far. Those are members who are being accommodated at our temporary tents. The affected persons are estimated to be over 1,000 people from all the 3 affected villages. I had attached a map of the Kiteezi hazard and risk map. It's unfortunate I'm not seeing the statement being displayed up. The hazard risk map analysis, the map shown is of 2023 obtained from the United Nations satellite that provides satellite image analysis during the humanitarian emergencies related to the disasters, complex emergencies, and conflict situations. The map shows location of the landfill and its surroundings. The map shows directions of the flow of materials and indicates areas at risk and its elements. The area marked with red is current hazard and disaster zone. I did submit. Maybe I'll skip the map, and when it's uploaded, I'll go back to that. But let me go into interventions that have been made. Right Honourable Speaker, we rescued 18 people, and excavators and 14 excavators are on site, and 6 more are being mobilized to support the work. Personnel displayed Uganda Police Force. The personnel displayed Uganda Police Force, UPDF, Red Cross, OPM, Ministry of Works, Ministry of Health, and other non-government organizations. Right now, Speaker, we have 5 ambulances and emergency care services providers for the victims and persons at risk. We have security deployed by Uganda Police Force to protect the people. Operations fuel committed from KCCA, from UPDF, from Office of the Prime Minister, Ministry of Works, and the Uganda Police. The humanitarian assistance. OPM provided relief food items to the people who have been...
Procedure, Honourable Seshkubo.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. And I thank the Honourable Minister for giving way. I'm rising basically on two issues under procedure. One, Right Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Minister is referring to the red lines, the boundaries, which we are not able to see, ending up talking to herself. Number two, Right Honourable Speaker, this matter falls under the ambit of Kampala Capital City Authority, not the general disaster the country might have. Kampala Capital City Authority was created with the ministry with a specialized function for the city, which shouldn't be mixed up. And that was the genesis of creating Kampala Capital City Authority. And the Honourable Minister in charge is right seated here. And because of the unique aspect, that's how Kampala Capital City Authority was created. And now, once the Minister herself is here, Right Honourable Speaker, who has the innate workings of the city, for whom we should be pointing fingers. So far, 23 bodies have been recovered. And now we are talking about 25, a calamity of such huge proportions, and it is being casually handled before this House. So is the Honourable Minister procedure right and government to continue handling this matter in the most casual manner, and also to shield away the responsible minister?
Thank you.
Who is always rare, but she's now here. She's here to answer to this, and she's being kept in the background. Are we proceeding properly, Right Honourable Speaker?
Thank you. Now, honourable colleagues, if you listen to me earlier on, at the beginning I said the Right Honourable Prime Minister called me in the morning. And she told me she's the one the President and government have assigned the issue of Kiteezi generally, whereby the most important aspect as we talk of now has been the quick response of helping the people who have died, those who are distressed, those who are sick, before going on to the blame game of who didn't do what. The most important aspect has been to save whatever we can. Okay? And the Prime Minister is the coordinator of all ministers. So the Prime Minister, in fact, we discussed that same issue on Ebasechkubo. We discussed me and her in detail. And she said, no, both I'll come myself. Then at the last minute she called me. She's still holding an emergency meeting with finance on raising funds to help on this same issue. Then she said, I have assigned my Minister for Disaster to present on my behalf. But the Minister for KCCA will be in case there are questions which fall under KCCA, or if she feels she can hand on some critical information, she'll be given an opportunity. So we are proceeding very well, Honourable colleagues. Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I was on the humanitarian assistance that have been provided so far, and I did mention that Office of the Prime Minister provided relief food items, 40 tons of maize flour, 20 tons of beans, and 250 taplins. Uganda Red Cross Society provided non-food items, which includes blankets, saucepans, plates, taplins, and other items. Energy-saving stoves and also the solar lights to support the victims. The Right Honourable Prime Minister visited the site and provided 200,000 shillings to each individual, 54 beneficiaries who are currently in emergency shelter. The President provided 5 million shillings to each household that lost a person and 1 million shillings per injured person. Mortuary services and care is being handled by government, and the service is free of charge. No one is being charged for it. Owino traders under KCCA donated food and non-food items, sacks of clothes, bags, shoes, sanitary towels, matoke, and the rest. Preventive and mitigative measures, Right Honourable Speaker. Government to fast track opening up of another landfill in Nalfield side in Menvu, Nansana, and in other areas which have been identified. This is still a process. A radius of 200 meters to be preserved as a buffer zone to avoid reoccurrence of the disaster, as the field has already been identified as having some cracks. So as a measure to avoid a similar incidence from affecting the people, we have gazetted an area of 200 meters. The flattering of the garbage hill to stabilize the landfill is ongoing, and I speak to you now, Right Honourable Speaker. The engineers and a team from KCCA is already on ground handling that. The short-term requirements, Right Honourable Speaker, recovery efforts are ongoing. We are working day and night to ensure that we recover the bodies. A comprehensive assessment of persons displaced and affected is ongoing. Mapping and registration of households at risk of relocation as per the President's directive. Coordination of humanitarian partners agencies are also ongoing and being managed under Office of the Prime Minister. Urgent negotiations on alternative waste disposal sites to mitigate the impending waste crisis. And the proposed sites have also been identified. A team was dispatched to go and ascertain the viability of the different sites that includes Menvu in Nansana, Wakiso District, Kiteezi, the 4 acres which is still in Kiteezi to be utilized, Ndungu, Mukono District, Nkumba, Chengera, Nabugabo, Abdil. Provide security for the persons at the resettlement camp. Police and the military is stationed to provide security of the people who are settled in the camps. Right Honourable Speaker, medium and long-term requirements. Hazard risk and vulnerability mapping of Kiteezi landfill and its neighboring surroundings. Relocation of mapped households at risk to safer areas, to relocate them from where they are to safer areas. Valuation and compensation of households where homes were demolished for search, rescue, and recovery operations. Expeditions of alternatives waste collective sites and decommissioning of Kiteezi land site. When we had quite a number of meetings, we all agreed that we will have to look at alternatives to decommission the Kiteezi land site. Challenges, Right Honourable Speaker, there's been a challenge on data collection because some of the people move from outside the area and they're coming in to have themselves registered among the beneficiaries. So a team from Red Cross and OPM is managing this to ascertain the right data so that we can support the right people. And claim bodies so far at the mortuary are 2, and they're all juvenile. We are waiting for the relatives of these people to claim the bodies. We have had a challenge while executing the duty because of rain and slippery terrains, and that lowered our speed. Claims by persons from distant places who are unknown. These are people who are not able to identify themselves as relatives of these people. So we'll have to take them through security investigations before we can ascertain the facts. Blocking of garbage trucks, yet Kampala generates over 2,500 tons. Right Honourable Speaker, the community from these alternative sites, some of the leaders have been mobilizing them not to accept deposits of this garbage. But Honourable Speaker, we know that Kampala and everyday homes are generating garbage and they have to be deposited so that we don't have another problem in the city. Right Honourable Speaker, children with unknown parents were also discovered, and I want to thank the Right Honourable Prime Minister because she took 3 of them and she's currently housing them at her residence. Local leaders from other dumping sites are stopping the garbage vehicles, and this calls for a political goodwill that we join hands to ensure that we don't again emerge with another challenge. Way forward, Right Honourable Speaker. Request for access to the contingency fund to get required resources for the emergency response. A meeting currently is being held, which is being chaired by the Right Honourable Prime Minister, and the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Gender, Ministry of Works and Transport to ascertain how best we can access funds to boost the operations. Reduce the fuel to manageable size and decommissioning the dam sides. As I noted earlier, the security team, and together with the technical people are on site to ensure that we reduce the heap of the baggage so that we don't suffer a similar incident since we're still in a rainy season. To procure an incinerator and adopt modern methods of garbage management. Evacuate operators working. We are looking at having shifts that are more effective, that is at least 3 shifts. Another shifts work 6 hours and even in the night. And I want to thank Kiteezi for coming in with a manpower and also providing light to work at night. Right Honorable Speaker, we have 32 acres of land that has been identified at Menvu. 4 acres in Kiteezi, 14 in Nkumba, some of which is not suitable as alternative landfill sites, but they are under investigation and we'll wait for a report from KCCA because we were tasked to work together with them. Privately owned sites like in Chengera, Nabugabo, Updeal are also options we are looking at. Not yet conclusive, but those are discussions we are looking at. I, at this point, would like to thank the President for his intervention of supporting the affected families with the 5 million shillings and injured victims with 1 million shillings. I also want to thank the UPDF for being on ground and supporting the work, Uganda Police Force, Uganda Red Cross Society. Particularly, I also want to thank the local community, Right Honorable Speaker. They came in on board and they were shift enough to support the action and were able to rescue people. But also, I want to thank the local leaders, and the Member of Parliament was on ground with me for all these days, including the Lord Mayor himself. I want to thank them. We work together and we still continue to work together. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, government is committed and working very hard to finding bottom solutions to waste management through alternatives like modern garbage management, through incineration and recycling, but also generating power out of the waste. But this can only be achieved when the members of the public also appreciate that garbage should not all be mixed. We don't mix broken bottles with plastics and we don't mix them with banana peels. This is an area that we'll have to look at in future in order to handle issues of garbage disposal. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Minister. I take it it's comprehensive enough. Minister for KCCA will come later. I'm saying, Honourable Minister for KCCA, you will come in later during questions, or you have anything useful to add on? Thank you. Debate opens now, and I'm starting with the Shadow Minister for KCCA.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to discuss the biggest challenge Kampala capital city has. Right Honorable, Kampala generates 2,500 tons of garbage every day. But only 1,200 is collected by KCCA, including a consortium of contractors that were appointed by KCCA to deal with the garbage. Kiteezi was commissioned in 1996 and it was supposed to work for about 10 years. But unfortunately, we have had reports talking about decommissioning We have had Asia's recommending decommissioning of Kiteezi in vain. So this is not actually a natural disaster, but it has been induced by human. And there are very many institutions that are to blame, including Parliament, our own Committee of Budget. For the last 8 years, Right Honorable, the Committee of Presidential Affairs has recommended, I have the reports here, monies for the decommissioning of Kiteezi, but the Budget Committee has not. And Cabinet and the Executive and the President has not at all prioritized this. For that reason, I table the committee reports. Right, Honor. Including the alternative, the committee report of Presidential Affairs of financial year 2020, 2022, 2023. I lay. These are extracts of report of the committee.
Procedure. Honorable Semuju, procedure.
Mr. Speaker, the Shadow Minister for Kampala is sharing documents that ordinarily should be in our possession. But because of the nature of the problem we are dealing with, wouldn't it be procedural right for him to tell us what is in those documents so that it helps the debate?
Thank you. But he referred to these documents as containing recommendations that funds should be provided for decommissioning. And he referred to several reports. So at least we know what is in the reports. And a neighbor can inform Honorable Semuju. Yes.
Right, Honorable. Right, Honorable, because you told me not to read a statement.
You're debating, Honorable.
Yes, I'm debating. You told me not to read my statement. Right, Honorable, I want to emphasize that they have always recommended in a range of 30 to 60 billion for both decommissioning and starting Kiteezi, Dundu. Despite the fact that, according to me and us, Dundu is unsustainable because Dundu is 45 kilometers away from the city center. And ferrying garbage from Kampala to Dundu won't be viable, and therefore we need a more sustainable approach. 80% of the garbage that we generate in the city is biodegradable. And considering that Uganda is an agricultural country, there is need to manufacture manure from this resource. Because garbage is garbage when it has no further use. Garbage can be a very good resource, and therefore, that is one of the ways. For that cannot be recycled and converted can be burnt, and we get energy, which will basically help us to have fuel. Right, Honorable, when you talk about how funding has been given to KCCA since 2011, KCC was given in 2011, KCC was given 3.1 billion for managing Kiteezi. And they have never increased that money. They have only reduced. So you cannot, where fuel has increased, you cannot fail to increase the budget of running Kiteezi, which is the only facility that we have as a dump site. By the way, it does not qualify to be a landfill. It is a dump site because it actually does not qualify. Therefore, it's important, as I conclude, that the people around Kiteezi, because they own the land and it's within the Constitution of Uganda, under Article 26(1), that the people have a right to own property. Government cannot come all of a sudden and say, we are telling you go away without even a plan, a resettlement plan, a clear resettlement plan. Therefore, it's important that as we discuss, let government make a conclusive plan to resettle our people and perhaps compensate them, because the money is there. The money is available. The money that we have been giving to the sugar factories, the money that we have been giving to Rocco, the money that we are going to utilize for the regional parliaments. We can, for starters, utilize that money to resettle our people. For starters, we can postpone the regional parliaments and utilize that money for basically. Right, Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Barimwezo. Thank you, Honorable. Let's give your colleagues a chance. Also, I want to know if the constituency MP for Kiteezi is there. Yes, Honorable Nkunyinji Muwada. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues. It is saddening, and I want to confirm that Kiteezi is a parish under Kasanga Town Council, the constituency being Kyadondo East. The affected villages of Lusanja, Kiteetika, and Masoli parish existed way back. Actually, by the time the landfill was commissioned or gazetted in 1996, Kiteezi and Lusanja existed, and the people had their own land. It is actually the landfill that found the people, not the people settling near the landfill. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, it is saddening, just as we joined the parliament, this particular parliament, in September 2021, I petitioned the parliament and government on this floor and informed the House and government of the worsening state and condition of the landfill. Actually, a few days after, I went to the landfill with the State Minister for Kampala and the Deputy Executive Director for Kampala. Water flooding from the landfill had taken away people's houses. Part of our demands was for KCCA to station standby engineers on site so that they could avert the flooding, maintain the landfill, and regularly caution or alert the neighbors in the event of any risk. Unfortunately, on Saturday, with no alert, with no proof of a standby KCCA engineer or technical person. It is reported and narrated by the witnesses. Not even as reported by the media. The witnesses are reporting that it was a blast that blew up the sand and garbage in the air with the smoke, and then it came down covering people's houses. That's the narrative from the residents. They even continue to allege that for months they saw Chinese contractors installing pipes in the heap of garbage, because there were two heaps. There's a new heap and the old heap. Now the old heap is the one where the Chinese installed alleged pipes. And when the locals questioned, these Chinese briefed them, according to the narrative from the village, the locals, that they are extracting gas. KCCA must come out open. What were the Chinese doing? We don't want to imagine and assume that it was a mere slide by the landfill. There are more likelihood that it was either an accident or an intentional mistake or negligence by either the Chinese or even KCCA. And even if it was the contractors, it was in full knowledge of KCCA. No one has mentioned that, not even in the Prime Minister's statement. Equally, when this tragedy happened, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I beg for your indulgence because I'm the area MP, and I'm sorry for taking long, much as all of you have issues to add. Colleagues, when this tragedy befell, it is the locals who did the first and initial rescue, using hands, hose, and pangas. We provided them with equally gloves. And every person reported to have been retrieved alive was actually retrieved by the locals, not government, not KCCA, not even police. When police came, they came with hundreds of servicemen, some in uniform, some ununiformed. By the time I arrived, I was there with the Minister for Disaster. The police themselves and some of their servicemen in plain clothes tried even to stop me from accessing. Of course, they had prior knowledge that for us, we wanted to find out what were the Chinese doing. We wanted to dig out and identify the positions that had been reported by the locals. As we speak now, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, part of the complaint we are having on ground, true, there are so many agencies on ground. And true, we have held meetings, both with the Minister, the Prime Minister, and so many other agencies. But one of the concerns that has remained a constant is that the rescue operations are only done during the day. From Saturday, it is even saddening that people had to die. They were buried beyond the garbage. KCCA and this government could not proceed with the rescue efforts overnight. I was there at midnight. People were still crying under the garbage. Because in the first rescue efforts, people were following up, those who were knocking up and were digging those particular spots. The police and the militants chased us away. They chased us away, and I've been telling them and the minister that allow these locals to point at their houses. Maybe when you dig there, you can save some remaining lives. It has not happened. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, these are also human. What we had is a purported condolence message from Mr. Museveni, alleging that these are encroachers encroachers near the landfill. These are lawful owners with land titles. Majority are owners of Milo and some Bibanja owners. It is very saddening to find your people being branded encroachers after being killed by the state. Who was in charge of the landfill? Under which law do neighbors owe a duty to protect themselves against actions of a neighbor? Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues,
Order, honorable colleagues. Let the area member of parliament. I know emotions can run high on some of these situations, but let's listen. Honorable, you can try to conclude.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, our immediate prayer is for government to initiate rescue efforts day and night, because these are lives. We don't want to say we have lost all the hope, much as our hope has reduced, but at least rescue efforts can go on day and night. On Saturday, the minister was there, and KCC and other agencies. They promised to commence rescue efforts overnight and pledged to offer light. I heard the Prime Minister, the minister thanking KCCA. They brought trucks for lights. When I went to the site around midnight, the generator for the lights was not working and functional, and neither was anyone standing by to even operate the machines. We are demanding that this rescue effort must be done day and night. Equally, for a number of our people who were injured during this crisis, we heard of condolences and support of 200, now 1 million. In this country, where can you get medication with a lost wound? Where can you get medication at 1 million? Let's talk about treating our people fully. Equally, when it comes to resettlement, it is true. There are some few houses which are closer to the landfill, and indeed they are at risk. But we are saying, as we discussed the question of resettling them in a tent, our people who had their own houses and land won't be resettled in the tents for the rest of their lives. We want a comprehensive approach that would talk about how do you compensate these people, where are they going. They cannot be taken to stay in the tents forever. These are people, some with families. When it comes to equally those in the tents, the tragedy befell on Saturday. The whole of Saturday, they had promised with the Red Cross and others to put a tent. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the tent was placed in the night. Most of the victims had to seek shelter from neighbors. I was there overnight. And even when the tent was raised, the Minister for Disaster had promised that they're going to offer beddings and other items. They were only delivered yesterday, some of them. Just yesterday, and it befell on Saturday. Where is the preparedness of government? Because these are lives. And that's why the minister is mentioning a small number. Because people don't see hope in going in that would be tent. They don't see any hope, because by Saturday, even when they raised the tents, there was nothing inside the tent. Even the toilet came 7 hours later, the portable toilet. And these are lives you are putting in a tent. Where is the preparedness and the urgency in rescuing and supporting these people? Honorable Speaker and colleagues, as I conclude, when it comes to the rescue efforts, part of the concerns of the locals is the security organs brought in their own people in plain clothes who they are working with. Those same people working with security blocked the rightful residents, including myself as the area MP initially, until it had to be the intervention of the minister and the IGP. And we are telling them we are the people who know. Indeed, the Prime Minister was embarrassed on the ground when she inquired from one of the people working with the police, and that person could not identify the relative he's looking for. There is a possibility that there are some people who are pressed to own bodies not belonging to themselves and want to understand what is being done at the mortuary to ensure that the bodies are handed to rightful relatives. Because there's a likelihood, and the same, and even those who are right, I interacted with one of the family which claimed that they were being charged to retrieve their body from the city mortuary. I brought it to the attention of the Minister for Kampala and the Prime Minister on the ground. We need a clear position and commitment that these people are going to be supported, compensated, and get their bodies for free. It is KCCA responsibility and government. Government must come out open and own up this saga and make a promise to compensate and fully compensate these people. As I conclude, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues,
and I will conclude this time.
We are very sad. We are very sad as people of Chadondo East. We are very sad as the people of Kiteezi and Rusanja, but I want to bring to your attention, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, that A number of these victims are from your areas. Actually, when I was on ground overnight, I saw a family of 20 stranded outside, covering themselves and I got interested and inquired. They told me they had traveled from Mbale. Another family had traveled from Guru. And these people are saying that their family members are still missing, buried by the sun. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, when the Prime Minister visited Lusanja yesterday, I brought to their attention that some of these families are not from here, but they have come to identify their bodies. The rescue exercise has delayed. How do we support them? The Prime Minister said we cannot support them. These are your people. They are there waiting for bodies of their relatives. They traveled from your areas. They don't have a house. I pleaded with the Prime Minister that allow some of these people, just screen them and allow them to shelter in the tent because they are staying outside. When you see them, you may think they are residents of our area. No, they traveled from your own areas. You people here, you members here. When I brought the attention of the Prime Minister.
Honorable Mwada, I know it's very emotional and all that, okay? But just conclude, please. Use 1 minute to conclude that point.
My prayer and my request is that even these people who traveled from distant areas must be supported. The Prime Minister rejected that proposal with the ministers, and I'm bringing it to your attention because they travel from your own areas. Who is going to support them? They are staying outside because the rescue effort is ongoing. They haven't received their own bodies. What should they do? And then lastly, the locals are requested to be allowed to identify positions of their own houses. Much as they were chased from the landfill, but they are saying they know the exact location of their houses. They wanted to support and assist the police. We requested that at least they identify one relative, one family member at a go. They take that member down to identify the location of their house. Because these excavators are going step by step. They may take months to reach. There are even some KCCA workers who are trapped in a KCCA small truck. They are still under the garbage. But KCCA is not speaking about it. There are some KCCA workers who are operating a smaller machine. They were also covered. The distance from where the excavators have reached to where they are is still long. And the coverage is not even a quarter so far in terms of the coverage. We must make all efforts and advocacy that the rescue is speeded up and we support our people. It is very saddening, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues.
Thank you. Now, Honorable Mwada, we join you and the rest of the community to pray for the souls of our colleagues and whatever can be done to support the rescue efforts. You know, even those who are risking their lives to carry out the rescue. Because as you've said, any time it can also fall on those ones. So we need to give more support to those who are carrying out the rescue and everyone who can make a contribution. Now, colleagues, from the submission of Honorable Mwada and the Minister for Shadow Minister for Kampala, I think I will just first request for quick responses because some of the issues don't need to get lost into the major issues. No. Honorable Abdara, I know in your area that's where they are planning to take. So I will give you a chance. But let me first ask the Minister for KCCA because some of the allegations made need to be cleared on the spot. Then the Minister for Disaster also comes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the Minister of Kampala in 2018 reported to government that Kiteezi landfill had reached to its capacity. There was need to decommission it at that time. Unfortunately, there was no resources allocated towards this activity. However, KCC went ahead to identify and procure land in Dondo. This such Kiteezi land is used by Mukono, Kampala district, Wakiso, and some other areas because Kiteezi is located in Wakiso district. So we share the landfill. Going forward, Compensation, I think the Prime Minister talked about the compensation of those people, but this is still an emergency. We cannot talk about the compensation when we still have bodies down there. And we still to register all those people who are there. That's why we requested you boss to come on board to assist us, tell us how many people were there and how many should we, and how many are we expecting there. Because right from Saturday, they were telling us 1,000 people, 2,000 people. That is a small area. We don't know how many people were affected. My area MP has said that there was no person from KCCA for maintenance. But you've said, as you are ending up, that KCCA, the truck was also down there. So that means that statement cannot be true. There was the maintenance truck which was on board, which was also affected. We have not talked about it because it's still down there, and when we are counting, we also say our vehicle is still down there and our people are still down there, the KCCA people. Yes. About the Chinese who are on site, Right Honorable Speaker and members, I've not seen any Chinese on site, and I cannot comment on that. Those are just allegations. Because we don't have any investor around there by a Chinese. There is no Chinese there on site.
Information. I got confirmation from the
Honorable, information you're first allowed. You don't just grab a microphone. I know it's a sad moment for your area, but we must follow rules even in such a moment.
Right Honorable Speaker, KCC submitted requests for funding starting with the Ministerial policy statements 2018, 2019, 2020. Since then, the requests have been submitted every financial year. In 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, I myself came up with a policy statement, but nothing was done. We were referred back as unfunded priorities. The Parliament Committee recommended that an allocation of 20 billion be extended to KCCA in 2019-2020. A budget to enable authority commence on the proposed interventions, and that funding gap be spread over the multiple financial years. However, this remained as an unfunded priority. Right Honorable Speaker, I think at one time we even visited Kiteezi landfill with members of Parliament, and we thought maybe since they have seen the problems, they are going to assist us with the budget. But up to this time, nothing has been done. So our prayer is...
No, Minister, you don't have prayers from who? From your own government? You're the government. We need answers. We don't need prayers now from you.
Right Honorable Speaker, as KCCA, we have done a lot. We have talked to the investors, who are willing to assist us. First thing, if we cannot decommission this land, we have looked for investors, and right now we have 2 investors who are willing to work with us. But just the tariffs were a bit high, and we think if we work as Parliament and Cabinet, we can come up with a resolution. Others have not just been seated, have been working on this issue. We knew this issue since 2018, and it has been ongoing. It's Parliament and Cabinet to start working on that issue. But others were also sorry for what took place on Saturday, and we are going to work hand in hand with everybody to see that at least something is done.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Thank you. Minister for Disaster Preparedness.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, first of all, I want to respond to some few issues raised. Right Honourable Speaker, when we were on ground with the Member of Parliament, when I arrived and I found the Member of Parliament was being stopped, I intervened and inquired from the security. And they told me they didn't want the huge number of the team the Member of Parliament was moving with to access the areas which were dangerous, because those people would also be at a risk. And that is why they were stopping him. And later on, when he talked to his team, they stayed back, he came on board, and we continued working together. Right Honorable Speaker, issues of disaster requires emergency response. And sometimes, when something has just happened, and that's why I did mention that I want to thank the locals in that area. There was shift to come in and respond. As on the side of government, we had to assemble a team, because the Ministry of Disaster doesn't respond alone. The Ministry of Works came on board, UPDF and the rest came on board, and that's how we were able to execute what we did. Now, the tents that was temporarily provided is to provide shelter to those whose homes were affected and didn't have where to go. And we realized it would be very important that food is provided for them immediately. And Right Honorable Speaker, I delivered food that very day. The items, the non-food items that the Member of Parliament talked about could not be distributed immediately because we needed to mobilize people to come, to pass information to them. And when I held a meeting with the local leaders, requested them to give directions to the people, let them know that there is a tent provided for them. They rolled on and continued mobilizing. People kept on coming. And today, right now, as I speak, Right Honourable Speaker, we have 85 people in the tent. And the number still continues to increase. We are going to continue providing them food and all the necessary requirements. As government looks into the details of the compensation, how it will be done, work on the list, because these are things you can't rush into doing it, because you need a clear data of those who are affected. Right Honorable Speaker, 100,000 being charged at the mortuary is not true. When I got this information, I got in touch with the officer at the Ministry of Health, and he said if anybody is asking for money, it could be conmen. I shared the contacts of the person at the mortuary with the local leaders and told them if anybody asks for money, they should let me know. If there is anyone who has been asked for money, I really request that you give the details and that money will be refunded. Right Honorable Speaker, finally, I just want to make this clear that as we speak now, the Prime Minister is chairing a meeting on how we can handle issues of compensation and the welfare of our people who are affected. And I want to conclude by asserting that government and the Office of the Prime Minister is still committed to doing everything it takes that our people who are affected in Kiteezi are supported amicably. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Songa. Our honorable colleagues in the public gallery this afternoon, we have a delegation from the Uganda Alcohol Industry Association. They include Miss Jackie Takanizibwa, chairperson, Miss Prudence Ukonika, CEO of Better Wine and a member, Mr. Wilson Manashimwe, member, and Miss Berinda Katuramu, member. They are here to listen to the debate and second reading of the Alcohol Control, Drinks Control Bill 2023. Please join me once again in welcoming them. Thank you. Honorable Songa.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members. It is now very clear that waste management in Uganda is a big challenge. It is having impact on the economy, on security, health of the people, and well-being. My committee of climate change had a long meeting with the KCCA over this Kiteezi landfill, to the extent that we even went to the field together with them Our advice was very clear to them that they needed to fast track the decommissioning of Kiteezi landfill. It is very unfortunate that up to now it has not taken place. But I must assure you that Uganda is losing a lot of money due to waste-related issues. About $1 trillion shillings annually due to waste-related issues. Because what we have in Kiteezi is not a landfill. What we have in Kiteezi is a dumping site. I don't see any landfill in Uganda. A landfill must have full landfill engineering technology, and which we are not doing. And then amount of waste, that waste can be turned into wealth. We have methane there, which can be tapped and be used. We have so many other gases that can be tapped and be used. We even recommended that investors should be encouraged to come and tap that waste so that we can use that money to turn that waste into energy. And this is what we agreed as a country. But the speed at which these things are taking place is so slow. Then number two, there are a number of projects, including projects from the World Bank, which were implemented for waste management in Kampala by KCCA. If you do tracking of those projects, you are likely to see that the monies were not well spent on waste management in Kampala. And that is why today we are suffering the impact of the waste management in Kampala. This is an early warning and a learning point to us, because these wastes are already blocking our channels, causing a lot of floods and health-related issues. Another early warning, which I must give as I present on this Kiteezi landfill, is the wetlands in Luzira and Port Bell. Should you remove that wetland and that in Luzira and Port Bell, you will see the waters of Lake Victoria coming to Kampala. All these hills, one day, you will see them in the island. I really want to give this early warning the same way we gave early warning on Kiteezi landfill. So, fast track. Honorable members, my prayer is that we must fast track the alternative land, and the alternative land must have a fully fledged landfill engineering. Although landfill is outdated, but in Africa we can still use if it is with the engineering. And then the materials which we can tap from there, like methane, carbon dioxide, we can tap them and turn the waste into energy. That Kiteezi landfill can generate about 6.5 megawatts of electricity, the same size of Nyagak 3. So you see the material we are spending in Nyagak 3, and yet we can tap electricity from here, 6.5 megawatts. So we really, and then it brings me to the issue of corruption. There are many investors who are coming to the Ministry of Energy. They want to turn waste into energy. When they charge, like, when they give the cost of doing that business, some people want to, that figure inflated. That should stop if we really want to manage this economy. I want to thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Kajwenje, Honorable Teira, Honorable Abdara Chwanuka.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I have listened to the Minister of State for Disaster Preparedness. I have also listened to colleagues. And truly, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, this is a disaster. My question to the Minister and the Minister for Kampala, I have not heard anywhere the two statements address us on policy. Where is our policy on waste management and disposal? Right Honorable Minister, it's not only Kampala. There is Kiteezi waiting to happen in every other city around this country, in every other municipality and trading center and town council. Where is our policy in as far as waste management is concerned? And if we cannot manage Kiteezi, which is a national disposal, a national center for disposal, then how ready are we to manage other Kiteezis in other areas? Right Honorable Speaker, let me say this. And this policy would now point us to planning and budgeting and adoption of modern waste management and disposal. I have seen, because when it rains in Uganda, because waste is just dumped, it's not inside, it is carried away. We end up inhaling and drinking this dirty water. So the disaster management policy must be highlighted here, and this is the place for it. This is what we should be demanding. Not budget, because budget must point to a policy, must point to a plan, must point to a strategy that we must fund. Incineration. Our town councils, Right Honorable Speaker, majority of the waste that we have in Kampala is actually transported from upcountry. Why should we bring in pills to Kampala, agricultural things? If that policy was there, that would be managed at source. I want the minister and the two ministers to address this House on the policy formulation and disposal. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Taylor.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, on 3 separate occasions, we have presented potential investors who are willing to turn the Kiteezi site into energy, which was going at less than half of what Bujagali is selling to the national grid. We were directed to do feasibility studies, and every presentation, KCCA has deliberately thrown away these people.
Who is that one? We were Honorable Taylor, a company associated with.
Right Honorable Speaker, I am a legal service provider in this country, and we have presented these people to KCCA formally, but they have continuously rejected anybody who comes in to develop Kiteezi. I don't know what the intention and the motivation is, but this should be really clearly put out in the open. There have been several people who have wanted to develop that area. They have been frustrated by KCCA up to today. Right Honorable Speaker, can we have this clarified, whether they want those investors or not?
Thank you. Honorable Abdallah, Honorable Christine, Honorable Mero.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I concur with the submission of my colleague Taylor.
Procedure, Honorable Innes. No, there is a procedure matter. Just, Honorable, take your seat. There is a procedure matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You earlier guided that we should look at how to resolve the matter, but not in the blame game, because at this point we need to find solutions. But when you look at the debate, it's taking a direction of what happened, what was not done right. Are we proceeding right, Mr. Speaker? To keep debating on what never went wrong, and we do not find solutions, because I want to support my honorable colleague, the area MP. He made a very precise and well-articulated statement with all the details that we want to know about this. I think it will be prudent. We allow government to give us answers to that, or find solutions that can put this matter to rest for now, instead of us blaming and blaming and blaming. Honorable Speaker, are we moving right? Or can we also, Mr. Speaker, push the ministry or the government to give us a detailed investigative report on who went wrong, who never did what, and then possibly we can debate that instead of us blaming and blaming without having precise answers. I'm seeking your guidance, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, I know, of course, even when you're in my position here, this is a very delicate situation where emotions are high and all that. But what Honorable Enos is raising is simple, that we should debate while contributing on how we can handle the emergency. For now, we handle issues of the emergency. Because I know this issue requires extensive investigations. You have heard like the issues raised by the Honorable Mwada. They are not issues you cannot just either take on their face value or dismiss when there are issues being raised by the community. So all these issues need to be investigated. So can we, honorable colleagues, can our debate help guide in as far as handling emergency, the emergency situation for now is concerned. And then I will guide at the end on what we are going to do. Honorable Abdallah Chiwanuka.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I represent Mukono North, which is 22 kilometers from Kampala via Gayaza Road, when you take that route. And the immediate parish, that is Dondo, which is bordering Mukono and Chira municipality. It is a densely populated parish, and 10 years back when KCCA purchased this land, it very well knew that the area has people. They were never notified about their intention to use the land. The land was gazetted as purely a residential area. And we are imagining shifting disaster from Kampala to our area. We don't know how the government does its work, but few weeks back we are here debating about the forceful eviction which happened in Rubiji. Now here is the catastrophic eviction which is happening at Kiteezi. The way forward, Honorable Minister, Dundu is purely gazetted by Mukono District as a residential area. We are ready to accommodate those people. You shift them to Dundu and retain the land, shift all the machines to Kiteezi, then shifting the problems. As you are cleaning Kampala, you are dirtening Mukono. We can't contemplate, and we are not ready to receive and accept your garbage and waste. That is the position of. It is very unfortunate, Right Honorable Speaker. We tried several times to engage the minister, to engage the directors at KCCA. Several people, as Honorable Taylor has stated it, are ready to invest in West. Are ready, and they are approaching us, ready to invest in the West. But the investment which the government is willing to accept, for example, in power, the tariff is 5 cents. Colleagues, you are well aware that Kachira contributes on the national grid, and they are contributing at 8 cents, and recently Karuma at 18 cents. Why this one frustrating this investment at 5 cents? You can easily know that.
Karuma at 18 cents? I think you need to get your facts right.
I'll cross-check that. Honorable Speaker.
Karma shouldn't be more than 5 US cents per kilowatt hour.
Yes,
4.7 US cents per kilowatt hour, not 8.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for that correction. So, as a way forward, we have already proposed in the compensation mode to shift these people to Dundu on that land which is purely gazetted as a residential land, and you also do a survey with Singapore. We have some few years back, we are ahead of Singapore. Singapore, how it has managed to do with waste management. We can take a field visit to Singapore, or even in Rwanda, how they have managed it. Some people here had to compare us with Rwanda, but please accept and you go and you learn some few lessons from Rwanda, how they have managed to do with waste. Maybe with that we can, even you don't need big land. You can do that management at 10 acres, even if it is a big city like Kampala. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Question.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, it is unfortunate that we lost all those people, and this is a human-induced disaster, a human-induced landslide. And Right Honorable Speaker, I want to report to the House that we have the Healthcare Waste Management Guidelines, the E-Waste Management Guidelines, the Sector Strategy for Organic Waste Management Guidelines, we have the WASH Guidelines, And the only challenge is the enforcement of these guidelines. Right Honorable Speaker, NEMA in 2020 advised the KCCA. Actually, it was reminding them that they had refused to renew the licensing of the activity by 2013. And 2020, they were reminding them not to allow further garbage disposal because the leakage treatment plant was not fully operational at that place. The effluent discharged was going direct to the water streams. And then there was no regular monitoring of effluent and the receiving environments. I mean the receiving environment. So NEMA had advised by 2013, from 2013, the contractors were not licensed to continue using the landfill. So, Right Honorable Speaker, NEMA does not have enough money to enforce. But in the environment and impact assessments of these contractors, they pledged that they would fulfill some of the requirements using their money. So we are wondering, if they did not use the money to fulfill the requirements, Right Honorable Speaker, I don't believe in a blame game, but there must be some people responsible for compensating the loss and losing some of their monies and also losing their jobs and also losing the contracts. So there are some responsible institutions that have to report back to us. Right Honorable Speaker, Kiteezi, with all the standards, is not a landfill. And I have shared the NEMA regulations on landfill on your WhatsApps, you can check. And if you try to qualify, actually, in Uganda, we don't have any appropriate landfill. And let's use this scenario to check ourselves and even check in our local governments. Because this is an eye-opener. We don't need to lose more people. Right Honorable Speaker, we are supposed also to go in some preventive mechanisms. Waste collection at source. All of us must go and sensitize our people on the need for us to collect garbage while separating this garbage. We cannot look at these technologies that our colleagues are proposing when we still have the catchment of waste in totality. Plastics must be different, organic waste must be different, but when you go to Kiteezi, actually those Chinese were collecting Buvera. That's what they told me. That is why even why KCCA doesn't. They were collecting plastics like any other company. So it is very important at the moment to look at the budgets of enforcement of some of these provisions, especially to NEMA and the KCCA. Every time NEMA was reminding KCCA, KCCA would respond that there are no funds. And so we are supposed to take waste management as a priority for the city. Likewise, the issue of sewage management. We always talk about National Water and Sewerage Corporation, but most of our emphasis has always been on water and little on sewage. These are national issues. As climate change activists, we cannot leave our community to be exposed to methane to this level. Now the eruptions were underneath. What could happen if the eruptions were in the atmosphere? Members, this is a challenge to all of us, and let's task all our institutions to be responsible, and also our practices from household level as the source of garbage to be cognizant of waste management. I thank you.
Honorable Mero, then Honorable Mapenduzi.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I condole with the families that have lost. And I want to thank the area MP for standing with his people. The government on the other side for the efforts that you have put in place. However, I have some questions that I would like to ask. While in this house, a colleague said that Parliament has not given enough attention we gave money to KCCA to purchase the Dundu land. But I want to ask, what are our priorities in this country? Do we have to buy land before we do a feasibility study to see that what we intend to establish in that place can stand the test of time? Because now the 134 acres in Dundu is idle for all those years that have been in this house. And now we are having the Kiteezi problem, which they had promised by the time they were pushing the committee to give the money, which we worked very hard to get the money to buy that land in Dundu. What are our priorities? Has the National Planning Authority failed in this regard or what? So I'm just asking, Mr. Speaker, if government could do the right thing at the right time, I think we should be very fair. We have the best laws in these countries, but implementation has failed just because of one thing: corruption. Corruption. And I want to request that KCCA be held accountable. They should come and account to this house where they put the money they received from here, because we can't take part of this blame to say that the house did not give money. No. We looked at it and thought it was a good idea. We visited Kiteezi, we visited Dundu, where the land is. What has happened? We got their graders. What happened? That they did not decommission and start using the other land. Mr. Speaker, there's a challenge, and if we're fighting corruption, we should not fight corruption haphazardly. Let's fight corruption from the root. This business of apportioning blame cannot work here. I think we need to learn how to put our priorities the right way. What is priority is put as an unfunded priority. And what is useless is where we put in money, which doesn't benefit the local people. It is very painful because these people who have died, you don't know where they are coming from. Some of them are from our places. But even if they're not from our places, they are human beings, they are entitled to life. What were we doing to decommission this place? Mr. Speaker, I beg that KCCA be investigated and they thoroughly declare where they put money, because we bought that land at a very high price than expected. I beg to submit.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I would like to thank the Honourable Minister for Disaster for giving us a report that shows that the steps being taken. And I condole with the families and the rest of the country. Honourable Speaker, this unfortunate occurrence should help us as a country broaden our perspective. Just like it has been stated, Honourable Speaker, I have been to many districts and local governments, and the problem of waste management is real across the country. Honourable Speaker, I will give you the example of Gulu, where every time local governments are struggling and they're not even able to manage waste. And sometimes when you approach them, they tell you, we do not have resources. Even when they have planned, they have a budget, it is extremely difficult for them to get the resources because of what we have in the law. Resources generated, sent to the center, and getting it back is a struggle. We need to deal with that. But the other problem, Right Honourable Speaker, is the question of how we look at the issue of health and safety. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to believe that such a facility, before it is established, there could have been an environmental and social assessment carried out, impact assessment. I want to give you another example. There are many projects across the country where people's lives have to be protected. But because there is laxity, because people do not take their work seriously, we continue to lose lives. Recently in Gulo, a barrow pit that was dug by some Chinese company. Even after doing environmental and social impact assessment, they were supposed to restore. You find these pits are not restored, so there is a problem across the country. And for me, Right Honourable Speaker, I would think that as we look at solving this problem, we need to hold the people responsible accountable. By now, some people should be in jail and others should be losing their jobs. For how long are we going to continue losing lives as a result of negligence and the failure to do what we are charged to do? So, Right Honourable Speaker, this is a sad situation, but it should help us to reflect deeply and begin to take our jobs seriously. Thank you.
Thank you. Rita or Honorable Kwaringa.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. It is very clear to us that today it's me, tomorrow is someone else. And in my language, I can loosely translate to say that when a stick beats your co-wife, you actually are supposed to burn it into ashes, because you could be the next target. Right Honorable Speaker, one of the things that has actually missed from the minister's statement is the nature of the emergency of the state of the road to Kiteezi. I'm even wondering, how did they get there to rescue the people? The road is in such a terrible state that it's an emergency itself. For over 7 years, those garbage trucks go throwing garbage, and now they are diverting to pass to Chanja, spreading the methane and all the dirt. Honorable Minister, due respect for the work you've done, but that is one thing you have missed, and you ought to track it. Secondly, I think we all need to be true to ourselves. You pass in the city, KCC now has just had a project where they are putting little bins alongside the road. It's a shame how money can be wasted. The basics of waste management, if it cannot come from KCCA, you wonder who will follow. Nobody. It is very clear, my sister here, Christine, has said it. You should set up a learning example. Put bins that separate garbage in its different categories. But if you can't do that, which other Ugandan will do it in their home? So the question for me, after all the cries, Kiteezi has been on the red flag. I live along that road for as many years as possible, but you still fail government and make us look bad. So you should be held accountable. And as I conclude, Right Honorable Speaker, I said we should ban this stick right here. Mbarasite now, we are in disarray. The Kenkombe dumping site, the people have chased us, including where we bury people. So if Kampala, that is an attraction of an international level, what will happen to us? Mbarara, Rira, Nakasongora, that is yearning to have a city. So I think every coin must be accounted for. For me, I have no kind words for KCCA. We need to see you act. The people have died. We need, Right Honorable, to come here with an action plan. If we can have Kira Motors in this country produce a bus, why can't we manage our waste? Because unfortunately, we are no longer going to be killed by natural disasters. No. We are now going to be killed by man-made degrading of our motherland. When Mother Earth cries, it's unstoppable. So I would like to implore you, Right Honorable, that you save us to come here again. Government should produce an action that translates into a budget. At least we have one plant that can process our waste, and we are losing opportunities for jobs for young people. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Right Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Kwaringa.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, whereas I would like to thank the President for the assistance at least he has given to the families, those that have lost their loved ones. But there's one thing that the Minister highlighted, that they were unable to identify some of the dead. So I wanted to find out from the Honorable Minister whether they have any plan of conducting a DNA on some of those bodies, because you may find maybe those who have already been identified, those who are already dead, could be the owners of those children who are also dead. So you need to do some DNA. Then secondly, whereas we are discussing the issue of garbage, there is also an impending disaster on sewage management. You discover that many of our family homes, if not all of them, are having septic tanks. In modern states, there is a better way of doing it. So I would like also to explore the House to see how they can, as the Minister reports here next with maybe a comprehensive report, they should also be addressing the issue of sewage management. And then, lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, I know and I'm aware that these companies that are involved in collecting garbage from our homes do charge a fee in order to help us collect that garbage. But I don't know, is there any arrangement that government takes advantage of that money collected to see how to use it for managing the waste somewhere? Because they are charging us, but I don't know, they are going to, government is providing land for them to dump this waste, but I don't know what is the leakage. Is it just on the issue of just annual payments or what? So that's what basically I wanted to say, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Muwuma, Honorable Semuju.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, condolences to the affected families. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, after attending the National Youth Day celebrations in Soroti, I traveled to Uganda to join the family that lost one of their own under the Kiteezi incident. But, Mr. Speaker, I've attentively listened to the Minister for Disaster Preparedness on the support that was given. Mr. Speaker, as I was in Soroti, I kept receiving calls from that family. They were asking for support on how to see off the young man that died in Kiteezi, a certain Kayeyera Emmanuel that we buried yesterday. When I hear that our good president released 5 million shillings in support of seeing off the fallen lives, it is perturbing. I want the minister to clarify who received this money, because even now the family is asking, is there any support? There was no message from government. We have RDCs all over the country. If at all we are burying people who have died under such situations, can we dispatch teams or call RDCs in our respective districts, say, can you relay the government's message, say that you are seen to be touched and concerned about these lives? But specifically, Mr. Speaker, I want clarification on who received this 5 million for a Kayeyera, because they just ask, give us the particulars of that person before you take the body. And the particulars were provided. That was the end of everything. So when they said they gave 5 million, the other family is lamenting there's no support that was given. I need that record cleared on the answer. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Semuju, Honorable Nduwarano.
I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first I sympathize with the colleagues who accept to be appointed ministers. Why do I sympathize? The minister for Kampala, when you asked her to respond, she was as crying as any other member of this parliament. We did this, we did this, we did this. I don't know why you accept to be ministers in a government like this. And I am saying this deliberately, Mr. Speaker, because I have seen here, I have seen the Vice President and the Prime Minister, after their appointment, going to Gulu to thank General Sale. You all have contributed to creating this disaster of one man taking every decision. That's why all of you here, cabinet, you are here crying. Why don't you convene a cabinet meeting and take a decision? You come to parliament to cry. So what do you want us to do? Mr. Speaker, Kiteezi was one of the villages I represented in the 9th Parliament. The solution cannot be transferring that particular problem to Mukono, as my colleague, the Honorable Abdullah Chiwanuka, has said. People who live in Kiteezi, even before the death, because the waste you put there is not processed, it has attracted all the dogs in the world, all the flies. The trucks that carry garbage from Kampala maybe are supposed to be carrying firewood. They go dropping garbage from every point. The Honorable Chiwanuka Abdallah says he doesn't want garbage to be taken, but they will be passing through my constituency. We will also stop you because we don't want to be turned into another side. Because by the time these trucks reach Kiteezi, they have dropped 10% of the garbage along the way. That's why that whole area smells. And the road from Gayaza goes through my constituency to Mukono North. Please find another way. Maybe you can ask the president to offer his job, because we will not allow you to use our villages on your way to Mukono. Mr. Speaker, I have visited National Water. They process and actually turn the fish into fertilizer. I have visited 2 of their sites. What stops you from acquiring equipment to process this garbage that you go and post there? Because that's all that you are doing. And Mr. Speaker, finally, this disaster, the Honorable Mwada has reported here, even when I was the MP for the whole area before it was subdivided, I came here and cried. The World Bank has early. Yeah, for us, we can only cry, we are not in the government. I am only surprised that even government people cry. Because it's understandable, the Honorable Mwada can cry. But when the Minister of Kampala joining him in crying, then you wonder who is in charge. So the World Bank that sponsored that dump site recommended in a report written more than 5 years ago, please decommission. The minister says, we have also been saying the same thing. I don't know where we should go. So the point I am making, finally, Mr. Speaker, first, I don't think it makes sense to transport garbage from Chengera, from Entebbe, from everywhere, and move in one direction. We need to start, because we don't have a landfill, my proposal would be to spread them, to decentralize this service, such that people on Masaka Road can find a place there. People on Mitiana Road can find space there. But otherwise, this disaster has killed people. But you don't know how many people are now diseased as a result of dropping garbage almost at every point from Kampala to Kiteezi. We may not have done a research. Maybe that needs to be done also. Because I should have appealed to government to do something. But I don't know who I should ask there, because they are also crying. Maybe, Mr. Speaker, you will be the one to go to speak to the one person who runs this country on our behalf. Because you see, the moment it's not only garbage, everything, once it comes to the time of decommissioning and you don't decommission, it's a problem. Even the NRM itself, I think the time to decommission it came long ago. These problems that we are seeing now are as a result of not decommissioning NRM at the right time. So we are now paying the price. This is just one illustration, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank you very much.
Okay, now I can see why Semuja and team have decided to decommission FDC. Honorable Guzuri is not happy with that. Yes, I had allowed Honorable question.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we are offering sorry for what happened in Kiteezi. But the problem is on waste segregation. As my colleagues have been saying, we need to segregate waste. But even if we do that without following the right procedures, I don't think anything is going to be done right. In hospitals, we have medical wastes, but we have incinerators where wastes are burnt and they phase up. But here in the local government, I think SCCA is failing to manage the wastes. It would be prudent if wastes are collected and they are burnt. Or maybe if we can get bigger incinerators where wastes can be collected and burnt, instead of just collecting them and leaving them to make bigger heaps. When you look into this, these wastes are going also to cause different diseases to these people in Kiteezi, because Kiteezi is a slum area. We are focusing on these other people who are nearby the dumping area where the incidents occurred. But then how about these other people who are in the nearby villages? They are going to end up getting typhoid, malaria, dengue fever, and so on. And this, as my Honorable Christian was talking about the recycling, it should stop, because these Chinese whom they were talking about, they were going to pick plastic wastes, but they end up recycling bottles of mineral water, and it comes back to the public. The TB is at a high increase, and because of these plastic bottles, which are not sterilized, they just wash them and they are brought back to the public. And lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, we are also getting the same problem in Bukomansimbi district. I don't know how we are going to be helped, because the town council is full of wastes and they are also making higher heaps. So people are going to get diseases, and the same incidents may also happen in our area. I thank you, and I get to support.
Dr. Wanka, Honorable Rion, and Honorable Nambeshi.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, government put a cap in terms of the power that is generated per kilowatt hour. It was 8 cents per kilowatt hour, and currently I hear it has gone to 5, which would be okay. But I want to implore government that for power that is generated from projects which have other benefits, like this one of when you are doing waste management, government should revisit the cost for the kilowatt hour so that we can attract investors. There are so many investors who have visited Uganda in terms of waste management treatment, but they have gone away. They have been, because of a prohibitive cost per kilowatt hour. We benefit not only from power when you treat waste. We benefit, we can get fertilizers, we can get ethanol. There are so many other things. I want to ask the cabinet that through you, Mr. Speaker, they should revisit that issue of 5 cents per kilowatt hour for waste management. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, 2 years ago, when we had these problems in my constituency and they killed people, the president was gracious to contribute 10 million per family. And that helped our ordinary people in terms of coffin and burial. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much,
Honorable colleague, first of all, I also condole with the people who lost their lives and those who have suffered through this disaster. But for your information, Honorable Member, we have the President has already approved and Cabinet the waste to management project in that place at 10 cents per kilowatt hour, with government taking a subsidy of 2 cents. So we've already reviewed that. So for those projects of that nature, we are actually allowing 12 cents, but government is carrying the 2 cents and they have to produce at 10 cents. And we hope that with the reduction in the other generators, the energy mix will be able to give us that. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable AG. I wish you had done it long ago because it has taken, but the step is in the right direction. Right Honorable Speaker, I was submitting on the contribution of government to these victims. In our place, the President contributed 10 million, and we were very gracious for that. We are very appreciative. I'm hearing now the President has contributed 5 million. What is the basis? There should be a guideline, because these people need coffee, they need someone should guide the President on what to contribute, because when they hear that in Masaka it was 10, another place it was 20, they will think, what did you base on to give them 5 million? I want to implore that should be revisited and there should be some guidelines, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Yon.
I want to thank you so much, Speaker, for the opportunity. My condolences to the families who have lost. Right Honorable Speaker, I don't know whether the Minister for Kampala knows or has the definition of waste management. I picked interest in waste management 3 years back when my daughter, who was in year 4, had a home assignment on waste management. Right Honorable Speaker, I think waste management starts from waste collection, transportation, and treatment. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Attorney General for that information you've just given, that government has already approved the project for generating electricity in the area. Mine is a humble request, Right Honorable Speaker. We have a problem to rescue those who are still down there. And we already have a challenge of resources. We are not having resources because of issues of corruption in KCCA. Honorable Speaker, my prayer is, can this parliament be exemplary? You have a budget to move around this country, to have regional parliamentary sittings. I'm told, and yet to confirm, because I know it's very difficult, even now as members of parliament, we don't know the budget of this parliament, because we don't have access to it. So I request, I'm told you have a budget to do regional parliamentary sittings from Gulu, Mbarara, Mbale, and Masaka. My prayer is, can we be exemplary and sacrifice that money to rescue the people in Mwada's constituency? That's my humble prayer. I thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. The follow-up, the former immediate chairperson for the Committee on Natural Resources, and Honorable Dr. Tara.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, I would like also to add my voice in condoning with the families that have lost their loved ones, but also to condone with all of us as Ugandans, because this loss touches all of us, and the people who have been buried down there in Kiteezi were coming from all over the country. Right Honourable Speaker, as a former chairperson of the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources, I want to begin by agreeing with the Honourable Songa and the Honourable Kajwenge, who have rightly described the landfills that we have, the so-called landfills that we have in Uganda, as not being worth the name of a landfill. In fact, anybody who has studied public health and specifically environmental health will say that what we have are not landfills. Because in the first place, landfills have specific methods of construction. So what we are doing, we are merely dumping. A landfill is constructed right from beneath the ground, and at the base is a material that is impervious to leakage and contamination of the water under the ground. And at every level after filling, it is covered up layer by layer. So what we are doing falls short of that kind of technology. But Right Honourable Speaker, my committee visited Kiteezi. I think we were just a few of us. We found there one of the questions that has been lingering is what actually triggered this. We actually found a plethora of people trying to make a living out of this garbage. They are trying to extract polythene bags so as to take them to the recycling plants nearby. They are trying to extract poorly disposed water bottles so as to cut them into pieces and export them to China, because this country doesn't have a technology of recycling water bottles. And so you find a whole lot of people scavenging on a landfill or in a dumping ground. And I believe one of the immediate actions is to stop our people from going to dumping grounds to scavenge for materials like boveras and water bottles. So I want to agree with my colleagues that if we are to stop this problem, what needs to be done is to sort garbage right from our own homes. Right Honourable Speaker, that is my humble contribution, that people should stop going to dumping grounds. That could have been one of the triggers of this landslide. I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honourable Nambeshe.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you. Mr. Speaker, Kiteezi was a disaster waiting to happen. And my grief, as I also express my heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families. Mr. Speaker, my grief has been exacerbated by the information I've received from the area member of parliament, the Honorable Muadanku Nyinji. He has said some of those that are homeless, hopeless, and are devastated are from Bale. And you know Bududa is synonymous with the disaster. This could be people who have moved from a frying pan to the fire.
And you know, most of the IDPs in Bududa are either in Kriandongo, in Bulambuli, in Bale, in Kayunga, Buikwe, and here in these suburbs of Kampala, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I want to bear with the minister, the new minister. I want to salute your zeal and zest with which you have come to this Ministry of Disaster Preparedness. But much as you have been lamenting about the ill preparedness, and you mentioned it in your report, your statement, the contingencies fund. Mr. Speaker, this fund is provided for in the Public Finance and Management Act. And most of the thorny issues are revolving around limited funding or constraints in finances, lack of funding by KCCA. But we have a provision. Section 26 gives even the formula. 3.5 times, that is what is calculated. 3.5 times the annual appropriated budget of the previous year is supposed to be in the contingencies fund. But it is not the case, Mr. Speaker, sir. No, I'm extremely informed on this one. Mr. Speaker, I know why you are...
Did you provide the money?
No, you have not been allowed. Mr. Speaker, thank you for your protection. Thank you for your protection.
You're usually generous.
What I wanted to correct is 0.5 of the annual appropriated budget of the previous financial year. But Mr. Speaker, this 3.5 was amended recently by, I think, 10th Parliament. It used to be 3.5. So my mind was still warped, but I have... Mr. Speaker, I want to bear with the minister to remind you that your sister Ministry of Finance is in absolute defiance of this provision in the law. Because even as we deliberate on this issue, the minister has no guts whatsoever to prove to us that that figure that is required, that is even a provision of the supreme law of the land, the Constitution, is there in the contingencies fund. What is there is a quarter of what is stipulated. Mr. Speaker, sir. So this information will come later. Just hold on. Mr. Speaker, I was shocked, and I put it to the Minister of Kampala, the Good Hajat of Kampala Capital City Authority. Your ministry came out through the Deputy Executive Director, Ewan David Luyimbazi. I just want to paraphrase what he said in response to what has happened at the Kiteezi landfill. He said that they were aware, as Kampala Capital City Authority, that that landfill had reached maximum carrying capacity, and therefore it was a time bomb to detonate any time. Now, the $1 million question one would ask is, if you knew all this, why didn't you expeditiously work around the clock to relocate the dump site? Or even relocate the people in advance? Because even now you have, understand, a buffer where you have relocated the people, others are finding their ways out. But this is what you should have done first. These emergency responses after lives have been claimed is the firefighting, which is typical of your government, Madam Minister. Mr. Speaker, in the 9th Parliament, Honorable Otata and the Germans, we were in the That was 10th Parliament. I was in Natural Resources. They came with Germans, and they were ready to construct or to invest in a recycling plant. But do you know what happened? The reports we got, they were frustrated by those that were in the capital city asking for kickbacks. So corruption, in a way, is responsible for many lives that have passed on than even the landfill or the landslides in Uganda, Mr. Speaker. Many questions abound about these settlements around Kiteezi. How come that NEMA, which is an enforcer of environmental law, comes out with the experts after this disaster to give caution that landfills like Kiteezi are not the best method of managing solid waste management? Where were they? What are they doing? Have they failed to discharge their role of enforcing the law, and they have become violators of the same? Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, one of the questions has been raised by the President himself in the letter which he has written to the IGG. He is asking about who allowed these people to live near a potentially hazardous, he used the word catastrophic, and a dangerous heap of rubbish. I suppose the investigation will arrive at a logical conclusion, but I highly doubt whether he doesn't know who allowed those people to stay there. Now a government going to make 40 years down the road, honestly, is like someone who has slept naked throughout the night. And then you realize in the morning that, oh, you are naked, you cover yourself after mosquitoes have preyed upon you. I beg to submit, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. Government. Someone can help me inform Honorable Saro Pendi that we are coming to the bill, to the next item. Colleagues, you can see for more than 2 hours we've been on this item, which was not essential on the order paper. So we have to go straight to other matters on the order paper. So next we shall be handling the alcohol bill.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to condole on behalf of government. I condole with the relatives of the bereaved families and also those who are displaced. And we pray for those who have lost their lives, for their souls to rest in eternal peace. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm saying that the emergency rescue program is going on, and it is going to be expedited by mobilizing more equipment from the different partners so that light can be provided at night to ensure that work continues for the 24 hours so that these bodies can be retrieved. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, the Right Honorable Prime Minister is chairing a meeting right now to intensify on the emergency program with the different partners and also to address the issue of the welfare of the people who are displaced. And many things, of course, she is trying to do that as we talk now. And also, Right Honorable, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda has put up an investigation team to rule out the possibilities of negligence. So we have to give these people so an opportunity to do what they have been ordered to carry out. Lastly, Your Excellency, Right Honorable Speaker, for the comprehensive report, I'm saying that next week, Cabinet is going to sit, which is chaired by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, and I request that that report will be submitted next week after members of the executive have sat. I thank you.
No, you don't. Colleagues, when you say twice, I've heard. Okay? Yes. Just take your seat and, okay? Yes. Now, honorable colleagues, this is a very absurd situation, and I love the unity of the House in addressing this, you know. And my prayer is just for those ones who are still undergoing rescue efforts. That's where my focus and prayers would be. That we give a chance, like the Right Honorable Prime Minister said, we give them time, but they keep updating us. Because you see, what was so interesting, this statement was their initiative. I was really happy to see that the Prime Minister called me early morning and was like, I want to update the House. It's not that she waited for us to first say, go, bring a statement. It was really a very good initiative. Why don't we give them time? What is that is so burning? And the problem, when you change your face, you scare me. And we are in a disaster.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, we needed urgent intervention because normally what happens, you must rescue life first. And I didn't hear the minister mention, have we called off the rescue? The difference here we have, the disaster is not like the plane crash. There are people whom I believe could be somewhere hemmed up in rooms. And we didn't hear a statement to say that we are expediting on reaching those various areas.
Can we call the minister, clarify on that?
Yes, can the Honourable Minister clarify on the rescue so that we give up on their lives, then we can talk about resettlement and compensation. No,
Honourable Minister for Disaster. Colleagues, it's been over 2 hours, I request you. Yeah.
Right Honourable Speaker, let me re-echo it. I said we have expedited the process. We have increased on the manpower. We have mobilized more machines on ground. We have put in place plans to work both day and night to ensure that we recover more bodies. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next item.
Item 3 on the other paper, Bill's second reading, the Alcohol Drinks Control Bill 2023.
Right, Honourable IQ, promise, keep us updated. Because you see, Honourable colleagues, investigations are ongoing. Usually what we usually do for such a matters now would involve our committee. But now you don't want to appear as if you're competing to investigate. You have uncoordinated troop movement. Let's give government a chance. And before the week ends, we shall ask for an update. They'll give us an update and we see how best we can come in more. Honourable Saro Pendi. Yes, Honourable Kori.
The procedural issue I'm raising, Mr. Speaker, is that this bill on alcohol drinks and control was referred to a joint committee of trade, industry and cooperatives and that of health. Incidentally, the reports are out, and they are minority and majority. And incidentally, the health committee was assigned duties by your office. They are in northern Uganda, establishing the status of the health care facilities in northern Uganda, and I think also conducting investigation is on nodding disease syndrome misappropriations. And incidentally, the sponsors of the minority report, the three colleagues, the Honorable Shadow Minister of Health, Honorable Batua of Jinja, Honorable Kamara, Honorable of Kaval, yes. A moment. I'm on procedure, incidentally. I raised the procedure issue, yes. I'm on the procedure. Attorney General, you in Lamba.
Just please.
Yeah, as I proceed. Mr. Speaker, even the chair of the Health Committee, who was in joint reporting, is also equal in the North. Mr. Speaker, given that last week when the Honorable opened, had issues and was not available, she requested and you granted her permission to defer second reading of this bill to today. I could employ your office, Mr. Speaker, that you accord similar treatment to the members who have written this minority report, that you defer to when, because they are there up to Friday this week, Mr. Speaker, sir. It would need to be procedural right.
Okay, let me also get the procedure
to
matter.
accord equal treatment.
Thank you.
To this request.
Let me also get the procedure matter from the Attorney General.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, we need to be careful as we manage ourselves in these rules, because if the bill is being called for the second reading, a motion is moved, and then we debate that, and then we get to the next stage, because now for those of us who have to read the Hansard, we don't know at what point we are discussing all this. So I'm saying, isn't it procedurally okay for the issue to be called, and then you put you ask for the second reading, and then the person who is moving the bill. So we are orderly, because we don't know at what point the member comes in to raise all these issues. Mine was just a question of order, how we are proceeding.
Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, when a bill is presented to Parliament for first reading, it becomes a property of Parliament. Honorable Saro Pendi, indeed, first of all, they had, she had lost someone. Oh, wait. Oh, no. Oh, yes, she had lost someone, and she was gracious enough to send me a message early. So I had, in fact, I saw it very late, and immediately I said, no, we cannot, like I informed you. Then they had another function on Wednesday, and then on Thursday, she, unfortunately again, she had lost another relative whom she had to bury. So I announced that the bill would be today. I received a communication from the chairperson of the Committee on Health that they did the report and it would be managed by the Committee on Trade, and he even signed it. Only 3 members, like you said, signed the minority report, which is this is not a matter of doctors or even what I would say members. So we have postponed this. It's affecting our legislative agenda and calendar. Really, you keep pushing. You know, you don't look that clean. Since it's a report, let's debate. Okay, let's debate. And the report, and by the way, I can even request the chair of the committee to also read, or one of the members, because it is attached and it's a report. It's not an opinion that is going to be formed today. It's already signed on. We already have it. We can even appoint a doctor in the honor of Adiomus to read it since it was signed by doctors, okay? Yeah. Yes, Honorable Hanifa.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Having listened to your guidance and the Attorney General, and as a Minister of Health, having been here and waiting for this, I concur that we could continue as we listen.
A doctor by association has guided properly. She's the one who supervises doctors. So, or I like that. Yes, Honorable Saropendi. And Honorable Saropendi, sorry for the losses. Are so bad in 1 week to resolve.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, before I move, I must thank you for your consideration. This item was on the order paper. However, I lost my brother, and we had burial on Friday. So it was complicated for me, and I was in touch with some members who unfortunately informed me that they had traveled to the north and they were not available this week. And when I looked at the order paper yesterday that was put on the WhatsApp group, it did not have this bill, this item. I only came in and found the matter, and that's why I had to excuse myself to get copies of both the minority and majority report so that I can acquaint myself with it. And this is why I was even requesting if we could defer to tomorrow. However, Right Honorable Speaker, considering even the members that are in the House, my seconders are not in the House of my motion.
You have many seconders.
But yes, I'm talking about when I was moving the motion, Right Honorable Speaker. They were also shocked when I called them because the argument was that the order paper released, they did not see the second amended order paper. And that's where the confusion has really been. And this has left me completely confused because I don't have all my documents available. I have an assistant who locked the office knowing that I was not coming to the office. That's why I was requesting that I organize myself better.
Honorable, move your motion. The bill.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to move that the Alcoholic Drinks Control Bill be read for the second time.
Is the motion seconded? Honorable Komakes, Honorable Bigger Rose, Honorable Amos, Honorable Otuke Diantonde. Thank you. Honorable, do you have to speak to your motion?
Right Honorable Speaker, alcohol has for a very long time been consumed in this country. And over time, the country has been grappling with the need to regulate the manufacture, the sale, consumption, and access of alcohol in the country. The two pieces of legislation that existed then, the Nguli Act, Cap 86, and the Liquor Act, Cap 93, did not adequately address the current challenges of the alcoholism in the country, such as the alcohol addiction, the domestic violence, the child abuse, and increase in mental impairment cases in the country. The Liquor Act, Right Honorable Speaker, only captured the manufacture and sale of liquor in urban areas and municipalities, and yet we now know that there are so many trading centers that have mushroomed in almost every part in this country, and alcohol is sold at any time of the day. Some of these trading centers, Right Honorable Speaker, are even near schools. And near schools, and even children have been able to access this alcohol. Initially, Right Honorable Speaker, recall that the Ministry of Health had to change the packaging from 50 mils to 200, but even the 200 mils is now accessed by people, or children, and people of all ages. So, Right Honorable Speaker, these acts had to be repealed because they were not addressing the challenge. And currently, as we speak, Right Honorable Speaker, alcohol is sold right from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. the next day. And of course, while people move that alcohol brings in income, we must look at the adverse effects of alcohol and how much government spends in treating all these complicated cases of diabetes, cancer, and high blood pressure. And you are aware, Right Honorable Speaker, that majority of our people cannot actually afford these treatments. Some districts have tried to ensure that their people remain productive and come up with ordinances, Right Honorable Speaker. However, as a country, we need to have one piece of legislation, because even these ordinances, when they are sent from the districts, take time to be cleared by the Solicitor General. So, Right Honorable Speaker, it is in this spirit that I moved the Alcohol Control Bill 2023, and the bill focuses on the following areas. It's intended to actually protect individuals against dangers of excessive consumption of alcoholic drinks. We are aware that there are people, including high-profile people, who have lost their children and relatives as a result of consumption of alcohol. The alcohol also intends to protect consumers of alcoholic drinks from misleading or deceptive inducements. Right Honorable Speaker, you are all aware, colleagues, that there are a lot of drinks in the market, promising people all kinds of things. If you take this, you'll be like, you'll have a lot of energy, you can, move mountains and all that kind of thing. And people rush for some of these drinks. However, we all know, Right Honorable Speaker, that it's very unfortunate, in the absence of any piece of legislation, some of the producers of some of these alcoholic drinks mix this alcohol with very dangerous substances, Right Honorable Speaker. And the report that was issued to the Committee on Health and Trade from the Cancer Institute, and also, the Cancer Institute, clearly showed that nearly all the drinks which they sampled in the market, especially the liquors, had some of the very dangerous substances that would have an adverse effect on the health of the people. This bill also intends to protect persons under the age of 18 years from the dangers caused by the consumption of alcohol. We worked tirelessly, Right Honorable Speaker, amid this resistance, to support the bill, the Tobacco Control Bill by Honorable Baryomunsi. It also had similar challenges. So we need to protect our children from accessing this alcohol before they are 18 years of age. The bill also intends to help adopt and implement effective measures to eliminate illicit trade in alcohol, including the smuggling, illicit manufacturing, and counterfeiting of alcohol. And of course, promote and provide for treatment and rehabilitation programs for those addicted to or dependent on alcoholic drinks. Of course, this has a financial implication, but you know, Right Honorable Speaker, that currently we have Butabika Hospital that provides some of these rehabilitative services, and we also have the private sector, majorly the private sector, that provides these rehabilitative services, and they're expensive. The ordinary person can actually not afford. So most of these alcoholics or people who are addicted by alcohol are left to suffer in the villages. Right Honorable Speaker, in addressing the challenges we face today, the draft bill provides remedies, including, provisions for prohibition.
Honorable,
I'm concluding.
We usually go for object and principles.
I am concluding.
So let's conclude.
So the bill makes provision for prohibition of trade in alcoholic drinks without a license. We are aware that many people are actually selling these drinks without a license. Selling of any alcoholic drink in any premises. Remember, the Liquor Act provided you needed to have licensed premises to sell this liquor. However, with the repeal of both the Nguli and the Liquor Act, there is currently no piece of legislation to actually regulate these areas. The selling, supplying, conveying of alcoholic drinks or employing any person under the age of 18 in, for example, the bars, manufacturing or selling any alcoholic drink in sachets or packaging in a bottle of less than 250 mils, Right Honourable Speaker. We also, Right Honourable Speaker, as part of the objects of the bill, it also provides provisions for the enforcement of the Act and protection from personal liability of officers who have acted in good faith. Right Honourable Speaker, you are aware that we also have bars currently operating and selling drinks to people in uniform. This also is prohibited under this law. We are also prohibiting, Right Honourable Speaker, the sale of these drinks in public passenger vehicles, so that people, we've had road accidents in this country, and some of these road accidents arise out of, you know, people consuming alcohol when they are actually on the road driving. So, Right Honourable Speaker, in a nutshell, just to inform the House that we benchmarked with countries that have regulation. Right Honourable Speaker, Kenya was one country that we moved to, and following the regulation of this alcohol, actually, the industry currently collects more than they were actually collecting. Because currently, only 35% of the alcohol in Uganda is regulated. The other 65% is illicit. So without a law, Right Honourable Speaker, the illicit alcohol will continue, and the government is actually losing revenue on that aspect. So, Right Honourable Speaker, it is my humble appeal, honourable colleagues, that let us support our communities. We are not prohibiting the consumption of alcohol, but only regulating its production, regulating its hours of consumption, and then regulating, Right Honourable Speaker, the advertising of this alcohol. Because some of these things are the ones that encourage the young people to actually consume this alcohol. So, Right Honourable Speaker, the Ministry of Health did pass a policy, and just to let you know that by passing a policy, the law actually has come in to pick from this policy, and it's in that spirit that I've actually put this forward. So, Right Honourable Speaker, we need revenue, but we also need a healthy population that will be productive and support this economy. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable Penda, I need you to sit far from Honourable Yoni. So I'm told the committee report is ready. Honourable Chair, and please just give us a summary, then the Hansard should capture the full report.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, thank you for giving us the time. For record purposes, the Committee on Trade and Health waited for the mover for the last 3 days till when the Health Committee had to travel. And Right Honourable Speaker, the Trade Committee is also travelling today. So we are very grateful that at least you have given us time to read this report. Right Honourable Speaker, before I read the report, allow me lay the report of the Joint Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industry and Health on the Alcoholic Drinks Control Bill 2023. I beg to lay. Right Honourable Speaker, allow me also to lay the minutes for the same report. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, on the 14th of November 2023, the Honourable Sarah Opendi Acheng, Woman Member of Parliament, Tororo District, read for the first time the Alcoholic Drinks Bill, the Private Members Bill, and it was referred to the Committees on Health and Tourism, Trade and Industry for consideration in accordance with Rules 129(1) of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament. For the purpose of this report, the two committees shall be referred to as a committee. Right Honourable Speaker. The objectives are right there. The report was uploaded. Honourable colleagues can check out on page 1. Because of time, I will not read them. The legislative and policy framework of the bill is equally there. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, the bill attempts to address the loopholes as some laws that regulated alcohol use were repealed. The laws as discussed below, the Honourable hinted on them, the Enguli Manufacturers and Licensing Act, the Liquor Act, the Portable Spirits Act. I will not go into details. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, you can read from the report. Right Honourable Speaker, on page 4, the committees laid out properly the methodology, the different meetings we had. We met over 30 stakeholders on this matter, and members will read. Right Honourable Speaker, I'll continue to page 7. I request the person, yes, to move. Page 7. Right Honourable Speaker, the effects of consumption of an alcoholic drink. Alcohol is among the best commodities which generate internal revenue towards the national budget. However, although alcohol is important and is a source of revenue, it has different effects. One of those, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, there is an effect on employment. There is also need, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, there is also need to underscore the importance of the alcoholic industry in terms of job creation. According to the Uganda Alcohol Industry Association, an organization that brings together the alcoholic beverages manufacturers, the industry is responsible for direct employment of 804,002 people across the value chain, impacting over 6.3 million livelihoods across Uganda. This is per the Private Sector Foundation. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, this is the formal one. It excludes all the other informal employed people under the alcoholic industry. Right Honourable Speaker, we'll look at the other effect, which is revenue generation. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, there is a table right there showing the contribution of revenue by the manufacturing sector in the alcoholic industry for financial years 2019-2020 to 2022-2023. Right Honourable Speaker, because of time, members can read through the table, but I'll note this. From the above table, the contribution of the manufacturing sector in the alcoholic industry has been registering an average increase of 19% for the last 4 years. From the years of 2019 to 2023, this contribution by the industry to the economy cannot be underrated. Right Honourable Speaker, according to the Uganda Manufacturers Association, the top 2 alcohol players, Right Honourable Speaker, being the Nile Breweries Limited, the Uganda Breweries Limited, contribute 1.1 trillion annually as tax revenue. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues.
Colleagues, please let's have, I don't know whether there is something they served at lunch. Whether an extra was put in, but please, let's. Honourable Chair, please.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, the alcohol industry also contributes 205 billion towards the revenue by grain farmers in Uganda. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, grain farmers, we mean the whole entire value chain, from those that do the sorghum, the farmers, our local farmers, that do the cassava, that do the barley, They equally contribute to the economy. I have put it there. Right Honorable Speaker, another effect we have the health consequences.
Honorable, you only leave Honorable Sechkubaron. I see you're pushing him out.
Right Honorable Speaker, among the challenges, the effects, we also have domestic violence. Alcohol abuse is one of the key factors that contribute to increased domestic violence. Notwithstanding, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, when we're interacting with so many stakeholders, like I've highlighted, majority failed to rule out that it's entirely alcohol that contributes to domestic violence. Right Honorable Speaker, there is the effect of public health burden. The treatment and prevention of alcohol-related alignments is also a burden to the health system. The lost productivity, Right Honorable Speaker, alcohol-related absenteeism and decreased work performance impact the economic productivity at both individual and society levels. Right Honorable Speaker, the members of the two committees, there are four, came to these conclusions and observations and recommendations. 1, certificate of financial implication. The committee is arrived to the fact that whereas Section 76 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 requires that a bill shall be accompanied by a certificate of financial implication issued by the minister responsible for finance, the committee was not presented with the same by the sponsor of the bill. The committee is, however, alive to the Section 76(4) of the Public Finance Management Act, which states that the certificate of financial implication shall be deemed to have been issued after 60 days from the date of request of the certificate. The committee hence proceeded to consider the bill. Analysis of the bill. According to the World Travel and Tourism Council, the tourism sector contributes 2.1 billion to the economy of Uganda in 2022. This is equivalent to 4.7% of the country's GDP. In 2023, this contribution increased to 5.5%. This is still USD 400 million, less than what was contributed during pre-COVID 2019. The tourism sector requires all the support to recover from the effects of COVID-19, and the legal framework should support and not hurt recovery of the sector. According to 2021 Euromonitor study on illicit trade of alcohol in Uganda, it was found that the regulated alcohol industry only contributes for 35% of the alcohol consumed in Uganda, while illicit alcohol accounts for 65%. It is therefore crucial that government applies the right level of focus to curb significant problems of illicit alcohol trade in Uganda by putting in place robust legal and regulatory framework with specific provisions to prohibit illicit alcohol, including native brews, which are increasingly becoming commercialized without being subjected to any production standards or payment of taxes. This creates an unfair playing field for legitimate alcohol players, since it does not pay related taxes. The committee observes that under the memorandum of the bill does not clearly state the problem that it is trying to cure. It is important to identify what mischief the bill intends to cure. The other question is whether the proposed regulation is the best for the action in the circumstances. The bill also does not indicate how it intends to eliminate illicit trade in alcoholic drinks. The committee observes the need for a detailed regulatory impact assessment of the alcohol industry on the economy. The stakeholders who interfered with the committee expressed mixed reactions on different provisions of the bill. one of the outstanding concerns was the absence of a detailed cost analysis of the economic benefits of the alcoholic industry in terms of job creation, tax base, and income earned from the sale of alcohol. It is crucial for government to carry out a detailed impact assessment of alcohol to the economy. This is buttressed by some clauses in the bill as discussed below. Honorable colleagues, close of time. We'll go straight to page 7. Page 7. The committee observes that the restriction on sale of alcohol at fuel stations assumes that all alcohol purchased at fuel stations is consumed at the purchase point, which is misguided and unrealistic. Shops at fuel stations are shopping points just like any other outlets selling alcohol, and are intended to provide convenience to consumers who may purchase the product for many reasons, including future consumption and gifting. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the Traffic and Road Safety Act 1998, as amended, imposes penalties on consumption of an alcoholic drink while driving. Therefore, the law already addresses the mischief of drink driving if that is what the clause is intended to address. Clause 14, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, it seeks to regulate the time of sale of alcohol on the different days. Colleagues, this is very important. Clause 14 seeks to regulate the time of sale of alcohol drinks on the different days. The committee observes that restrictions amount to an infringement on the economic rights to carry out lawful trade and business guaranteed under Article 42 of the 1995 Constitution of the Republic of Uganda by limiting the hours when business can work. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the clause does not take into account different employments, including those who work during the night times. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, there are those who work at night and they would equally want to enjoy during daytime. So when you restrict, Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, you are putting a restriction on the night workers who want to enjoy during daytime. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, those on holidays and on leave, what we termed as leisure tourism, and wish to enjoy their rights to alcoholic drinks during the daytime. The restriction on selling hours will impact the sales volumes, which will ultimately reduce the levels of raw materials demanded from the farmers for their use in the manufacture of alcohol. Colleagues, equally this is important. For example, sorghum, barley, millet, cassava, wheat, corn, fruits, and thus will have an effect on the economy. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, what the committee was trying to address in this, also by regulating on the time, this will reduce on the entire value chain. Majority of our farmers are the number one suppliers of these manufacturers. So when you start reducing, when you reduce, it does not affect only the consumer, it affects right from the farmers. So, Right Honorable Speaker, the members thought that would be very unfair to our farmers. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, it is important to underscore the entire alcoholic drinks value chain, including the livestock and poultry farmers that supply meat and chicken to food vendors around bars. Right Honorable Speaker, like I had earlier stated, this, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, Like I had earlier insinuated, this is a big value chain. Right, Honorable Speaker, when you look at the nyama choma, the chapati...
Chair, we have a procedure matter. Honorable Guzuri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have listened to the present of the report. I have noticed when she's speaking against the bill, the tone and where I sit, she's enticing me to buy into the report. Won't it be procedural right that she declares her interest? So that...
Thank you. Now, Honorable, I think it will be procedural right for you not to accept to be enticed. Honorable, you're managing Honorable Guzuri properly. Continue.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Colleagues, that pertinent issue I was about to conclude on it. That was about the poultry farmers, the livestock and poultry farmers that supply meat, chicken to food vendors around bars. Colleagues, you have noticed these bars, oftentimes whenever there is a bar, there is a nyama chomo close, there is a chips lady close, there is a Rolex person close, there is a Mulokonyi also close, and the chapati and Rolex equally. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, all those will be entirely affected by the time. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, among the affected people will also be the motorcyclists, the boarders. Colleagues, this is equally pertinent. In this night business, there are the boarders that are always waiting for clients to retire home. They are always parked either by the bar or by the restaurant somewhere. They will equally be affected, Right Honorable Speaker. The special hire drivers, the security guards, these are the bouncers. The artists, those are the musicians. The comedians, the karaoke artists, among others. Therefore, the majority committee believes that if there is an attachment on time, this whole entire value chain will be adversely affected. Further, the bill presumes, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the bill presumes that the bars and restaurants will remain open to sell soft drinks while restricting the sale of alcoholic drinks after 22 hours. This is not only impractical, but onerous to enforce. Right Honorable Speaker, the bill says when we close the bars at 10, soft drinks will be sold. When we interacted with the very many stakeholders, Right Honorable Speaker, on this matter, one stakeholder said it is possible for someone to buy their drinks and stock them in advance and wait for the close of time, because the bill is looking at the sale and not the consumption. So I am allowed to stock my drinks in advance and consume past 10, which we thought equally is impractical, and it is hard to enforce, to buy soft drinks and differentiate them from alcoholic drinks. The committee also observes discrimination and unfairness under Clause 14.2, which allows supermarkets or depots to sell alcoholic drinks between 10 hours and 22 hours, and under 14.3, which allows sale of alcoholic drinks in nightclubs, theaters, theatres, bars, and trade shows without time limitations. This would directly discriminate the other businesses involved in the sale of alcoholic drinks. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, if there is a limitation on time to the bars, and we say the nightclubs can openly sell, the trade shows and the rest, That means all bars will now fidget to turn their bars into nightclubs. And if there is a restriction on time, that means that exactly 10, 12, 22 hours or 10 p.m., all the would-be who would have taken a lot now would move on the streets at the same time.
Order,
Right, Honorable
Sarah.
Speaker, the committee
Order.
envisages.
Order, Honorable Sarah.
Right Honorable Speaker, I have carefully listened to the chair of the Trade Committee. It is very unfortunate that the chair of the Trade Committee is completely biased, because I expect the Committee of Trade to come up with proposals that instead of 10 p.m., let it move to 2 p.m. on a working day, 2 a.m. on a working day, and on a weekend leave it open. And then she is here saying that we are actually infringing on the rights of, for example, musicians. We have left the weekends open, Right Honorable Speaker. So the Honorable Member is actually not being fair to this House. And this is why, Right Honorable Speaker, I had preferred that the members of the of the Health Committee, who majority are in the field, actually they reached out to me. They wanted to be present here. It would be good that the debate is carried out when all the others are here. Thank you, Right Honorable.
So, no, honorable colleagues, number one, honorable colleagues, number one, the chair is reading a position of the committee, not her position. Number two, the said members of the Health Committee didn't sign the minority report. Majority signed the majority report, including the chair, and it's here. So, only three members. So, let the chair finish the report. Chair conclude, we debate. No, let's... No,
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
This is the report
colleagues.
of the committee being read. Let us receive the report.
Honorable Speaker, for Honorable Sarah Opendi to be happy, I'll read the report verbatim, but equally it's in that manner. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee envisages a likelihood of increased illicit trade sales, as was witnessed during COVID-19 lockdown. It will increase cartels and black market businesses and encourage corruption, as people will be looking forward to accessing alcoholic drinks outside the stipulated time. The committee is further concerned that the tourism sector will be made less attractive by the said restrictions. Most inbound tourists come to Uganda for holiday, and restricting their leisure will deny them the opportunity to freely enjoy Uganda's heritage and night economy. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, limiting the time of sale under Clause 14 of the bill may not necessarily translate into people drinking less. Thus, the clause will be redundant. High consumption of alcohol may not be tagged to the amount of time taken while drinking. Right Honorable Speaker, we interacted with very many stakeholders, and really the doctors gave us, Right Honorable Speaker, Clause 17 seeks to regulate the advertising of alcoholic drinks. Subclause 2 obligates the minister by regulations to regulate advertisement of alcohol, alcoholic drinks and alcohol. Subclause 3 imposes a fine of 20 million or imprisonment for a period not exceeding 10 years for a person who contravenes the clauses. The committee observes that the clause is redundant since there are other legal frameworks that deal with the quality of advertisement. Right Honorable Speaker, the clause is not necessary because there is already a regulatory framework in place under UNBS. Right Honorable Speaker, there are also existing rules by the Uganda Communications Commission. Right Honorable Speaker, Clause 19A seeks to grant powers to authorize officers to examine or conduct a scientific test on alcoholic drinks to ascertain whether they meet the standards prescribed in the regulations. The committee notes that the function of setting standards in Uganda is the mandate of Uganda National Bureau of Standards. Right Honorable Speaker, the Attorney General reiterates this observation in his submission to the committee. It was also the considered opinion of the Attorney General that the bill is inconsistent with and contravenes various laws of the land, including the 1995 Constitution, the Employment Act, the UNBS Act, Cap 20, among others, and therefore should not be enacted into law. Clause 27 seeks to regulate the alcohol drinks in a package of not less than 500 mils. The committee observes that this clause is in direct conflict with the weights and measures. Right Honorable Speaker, we have that rule, also, we have that law. In addition, the purpose of the bill is to, among others, control excessive or high consumption of alcohol. Therefore, to increase the packaging of alcohol to 500 mils, which will increase on the quantities of alcohol consumed. Thus, the clause seems to advocate for excessive consumption of alcohol rather than allowing small packagings. Right Honorable Speaker, the provisions fail to take into consideration the significant levels of investment by the manufacturers. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I'll go to the conclusion of the committee. In light of the above, the committee concludes that whereas it is necessary to regulate the manufacturer, importation, sale, consumption, and advertisement of alcoholic drinks, the bill in its current form falls short of addressing the real challenges like illicit trade in alcoholic drinks, alcohol abuse, quality control, enforcement mechanisms, personal freedoms, economic impact, and efficacy of such controls, among others in the alcohol industry. The challenge lies in finding the right balance that safeguards public health without unduly infringing on the economic rights and freedoms of individuals and government revenue. Whereas the bill was expected to fill the gaps that were created by the repeal of the above acts, like I had earlier mentioned, the bill seeks to exempt the manufacture and consumption of illicit or native alcoholic drinks for domestic use from application of the law. And yet, the committee was informed that the illicit or native alcohol drinks are the largest forms of alcohol drinks in Uganda. If left unregulated, it will continue to be a danger to both the economy and the health of Ugandans. The committee received significant proposed amendments to the bill from stakeholders, which, if considered, would have far-reaching implications on the economy and significantly change the nature of the bill. Additionally, this being a private member's bill, the committee is constrained to consider the proposed amendments that have an effect of imposing a financial charge on the consolidated fund. Some of such proposed amendments include establishment of an alcohol treatment and rehabilitation fund for rehabilitation of alcoholic disorders, inclusion of dangers of alcohol abuse in education institutions' curricula, provision of public sensitization and education on the harmful health, economic and social consequences of alcohol abuse, among others. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the committee therefore recommends that this August House should not proceed on the motion for the second reading of the Alcoholic Drinks Control Bill 2023. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, I beg to report.
Thank you, Honorable. You have a minority report? You need to acknowledge that. No, Honorable Komakech, they've appointed Honorable.
You had asked.
No, Honorable Dr. Batua has, Honorable Dr. Pio has appointed Honorable Komakech to read it on his behalf.
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker, we have the minority report.
Thank you. Honorable Komakech also do for us, summarize. I'm happy there was a member who had volunteered. I want to thank you. No, I just want to make a clarification. Honorable Pamela Kamugo has no minority report. Okay? We had just requested, in case all the other minority members, report members are not around, a member would volunteer. And that's how members are just start to read. But she's for the majority report, according to what she has told. So, Honorable Komakech.
Right Honorable Speaker, the minority report of the Joint Committee on Trade, Tourism and Industry and Committee of Health on the Alcoholic Drinks Control Bill 2023. Introduction. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, the Alcohol Drinks Control Bill was read for the first time on Tuesday.
Honorable, you don't need to go to that. Just go on to the salient issues. Because all those ones, Honorable Sarah went through the,
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker,
but
for your
introduction
guidance.
of when the private members bill came, really, we go back to that. You go to the salient issues of dissent.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. That's point 3, dissenting observations. 3.1, the general conclusion and way forward on the bill. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, in order to put forth our arguments for the dissenting opinion, we shall discuss the general conclusion and recommendations first, because it lays the foundation for the dissent. Whereas the main report recommends that this August House should not proceed on the motion for the second reading of the Alcoholic Drinks Control Bill 2023, we contend that the bill is sufficient to regulate the alcohol sector and only requires a few amendments, as is usually the case for the most bills that are considered in this August House. For it to have effective implementation, we further contend against the conclusion by the main report that amending the bill would significantly change the nature of the bill basing on Rule 129(4) and 132(2) of our Rules of Procedure, which empower a committee, while examining a bill referred to it, to propose and accept proposed amendments in the bill as it considers fit. If the amendments, including new clauses and new schedules, are relevant to the subject matter of the bill, as I will read the amendments proposed, honorable members, you will realize that the amendments are not only few as to significantly change the nature of the bill, but are relevant to the subject of alcohol control and hence not reason enough to make the committee to reject the bill, without giving it the examination it deserves, and proposes amendments where necessary. Our conclusion is that the Alcoholic Drinks Control Bill 2023 is a necessary bill, which, if enacted into law, will go a long way in resolving the challenges that exist in the alcohol sector. And we recommend that Alcohol Drinks Control Bill 2023 be read the second time and do pass with proposed amendments. 3.2, analysis and observation of the following pertinent matters. 3.21, the bill does not state the mischief it seeks to cure. One of the points of dissent from the majority report is the observation that under the memorandum to the bill does not clearly state the problem that it is trying to cure. Neither does the bill identify the mischief it intends to cure. We contend that the bill in a very clear terms states the mischief it intends to cure in both its long title and memorandum. The last paragraph of the memorandum of the bill clearly provides that one of the consequences of high consumption of alcoholic drinks is on productivity of the consumer. It also enumerates the need to regulate the manufacturer and sale of alcohol, as well as the need to protect the children from easy accessibility of alcohol. One of the defects cited is the repeal of the Enguli Manufacture and Licensing Act, which exposes communities to consumption of unregulated crude alcohol, which is harmful. Suffice to note is the fact that a memorandum of bill does not form part of an act of parliament, so its inadequacy cannot weaken the intended impact of the bill, especially when the long title and the objects of the bill clearly state the intention of the bill and the mischief it seeks to cure. I will produce the long title for purpose of clarity, and I have highlighted the mischief as well. An act to regulate the manufacture, importation, sale, consumption, and advertisement of alcoholic drinks. To prohibit accessibility of alcoholic drinks to persons below 18 years of age, to amend the Industrial Licensing Act, Cap 91, repeal the Portable Spirits Act, Cap 97, and for related matters. 3.22, need for an impact assessment of alcohol to the economy and health of the country before processing the bill. Right Honorable Speaker, the majority report indicates that in November 2019, Uganda developed the National Alcohol Control Policy following broad consultations with key government sectors, regulatory and other agencies and civil society organizations. The policy provides a framework within which government of Uganda, in association with other key stakeholders, are to develop and implement targeted alcohol control interventions in the best interest of all Ugandans. As is observed by the majority report, the development of the National Alcohol Control Policy arose out of wide consultations with various stakeholders. This consultation, in other words, could be termed as an impact assessment of alcohol on the citizenry and indeed out of the consultations. It was discovered by government that the unregulated alcohol consumption causes heavy burden of infectious disease and an upsurge in the occurrence of non-communicable disease, such as hypertension, cancer, diabetes, mental illness, and chronic heart diseases, which damage nearly every organ in the body and as well as induce alterations in most of the brain structures due to its psychosis active nature, in addition to affecting productivity and social relations if consumed excessively. We further note that the development of National Alcohol Control Policy was a positive step by government towards regulating the alcohol sector, and since the Constitution empowers Parliament under Article 79 to make laws on the matter for the peace, order, development, and good governance of Uganda, and under Article 94 to exercise this power through bills, it is right and just that Parliament considers the substance and intention of the bill, and where possible, propose amendments rather than relegate its constitutionally granted power. Honorable members, if we do not consider this bill for second reading, not only shall we be doing a disservice to policy which has no binding force in case of non-compliance due to absence of sanctions, but we shall also not carry out our legislative function expected.
Procedure, Honorable Roland.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. First of all, the honorable member reading the minority report is trying, the report is like convincing members of parliament instead of showing us areas of dissent as it's supposed to be.
No,
so are we proceeding well, Right Honorable Speaker, if it is more of convincing than showing us the areas of dissent?
Thank you. Honorable colleague, each committee report is designed to convince you to go to their direction. The previous one was accused of convincing. Now this one is... So these are issues you can raise during debate.
Honorable members, if we do not consider this bill for second reading, not only shall we be doing a disservice to the policy which has no binding force in case of non-compliance due to absence of sanctions, but we shall also not carry out our legislative function expected of us by the people who represent and hence create a gap in the regulation of sector which has proved harmful to the health of our people as per the statistics and majority report has put forth. Lastly, the lawmaking process as enumerated in the Constitution of Uganda and rules of procedure does not have a requirement of an impact assessment before a bill is enacted. It would be derogatory to require a private member of parliament who is empowered by the Constitution under Article 94(4)(b) to move a private member's bill to first establish whether government made an impact assessment of the area of subject of matter. I implore the members of this august House from setting such a precedent as it will curtail a constitutional granted right. 323, regulation of native alcohol by the bill. The majority report rightly observes that the 2021 Euromonitor study on illicit trade of alcohol in Uganda found that regulated alcohol industry only accounts for 35% of all alcohol consumed in Uganda, while illicit alcohol accounts for 65%. The majority report also notes the need for government to apply the right level of focus to curb significant problems of illicit alcohol trade in Uganda by putting in place robust legal and regulatory framework with specific provisions to prohibit illicit alcohol, including native brews, which are increasingly becoming commercialized without being subjected to any production standards or payments of taxes. However, we dissent on the observation that the bill does not provide for native alcohol nor indicate how it intends to eliminate illicit trade in alcoholic drinks. We contend that the bill explicitly regulates native alcohol as illustrated in the following clauses. The interpretation section defines native liquor as an intoxicating drink which is manufactured in accordance with the customs and cultural practices of Uganda other than by distillation. Clause 4D provides that for the purpose of this act, the licensing authority for the sale of native liquor in a sub-county shall be the Assistant Chief Administrative Secretary, and in a town council or division shall be the town clerk. Clause 5.3 provides a person who intends to manufacture for sale or sell native liquor shall apply to the relevant licensing authority for a license. Clause 22D prohibits a person from manufacturing native liquor for sale without license. This section of the bill explicitly regulates the manufacture and sale of native alcohol and its essence in illicit alcohol. Clause 2C provides one object of bill as to provide for measures to eliminate illicit trade in alcoholic drinks. Clause 22 provides for the prohibition of manufacturing, importation, or sale of alcohol without license and contrary to the provision of the Act. Clause 2C, read together with Clause 22, prohibit illicit trading in alcoholic drinks, and hence this is proof that the bill regulates illicit trade in alcohol. Honorable Speaker and members, being that we understand the great danger that native alcohol possesses to the health, our citizens, we have made the following proposals for amendments to the bill in regard to native alcohol.
Such amendments come when you go to committee stage. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, and they also come with a justification when you go to committee stage. Yeah, but you know, when we go to committee stage is when we go into that. That's the process.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I take your guidance in.
Yeah. That's Honorable Sarah.
Right Honorable Speaker, when I read the minority report, because the majority report stated that the bill is actually not talking about illicit alcohol, neither is it regulating it. That's the reason why the minority report is now trying to show you the various clauses where actually illicit alcohol is being regulated in the proposed bill. That is why he was reading those clauses.
Yes, I allowed him to do that, okay?
Yeah,
He did that. But now, even when you propose what you're amending and you're justifying, that's committee stage.
Yeah, maybe you can just highlight those
Yeah,
areas
that's
in
very
response to the majority report.
And also they gave a summary. So give a summary. We go on debate. We need time for debate.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I take your guidance in kind, and I beg you allow me only highlight 3.2 licensing of manufacture and sale of alcoholic drinks. Members, you'll read through. That will take me to 3.25. Location of sale of alcohol was also another point of interest where alcohol is being sold. Some alcohol.
Honorable colleague, the whole report will be captured on the Hansard, like we did for the main report. Even the whole of minority report will be captured on the Hansard.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I'll go straight to restrictions on time of sale, if you may allow. Right, Honorable Speaker, we dissent on the observation of the majority report that by limiting the time of sale under clause 14 of the bill may not necessarily translate into people drinking less. Thus, the clause will be redundant. According to the National Alcohol Policy and the World Health Organization, one of the control measures of controlling excessive consumption of alcohol is limiting accessibility of the alcoholic drinks. One of the objects of the bill under clause 2A is to regulate consumption of alcohol, and there is no better practical way to do it than by regulating accessibility. Suffice to note that when Uganda Breweries Limited, Nail Breweries Limited, and the Uganda Alcohol Industry Association appeared before the committee as the major players in the alcohol sector, they welcomed the clause on limitation of time and made a few proposals for adjustment in the time, which we have captured in the recommendations. The submissions of these three entities are attached as Annex A, Annex B, and Annex C, respectively. In addition, literature review revealed that a number of countries have prescribed restrictions of time for sale of alcohol, and hence Uganda will not be the first country to restrict time of sale of alcoholic drinks as illustrated below. In Sweden, Right Honorable Speaker, in Sweden, sale of alcohol must not be carried out before 11 a.m. Most licenses allow liquor services between 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. Some restaurants have limited hours on weekends, but are allowed to serve longer on weekends. Many dance venues and bars are allowed to serve until 3 a.m. or 5 a.m., often combined, Right Honorable Speaker, with the condition that restaurants has a doorman to enforce the closure time of similar controls. Right Honorable Speaker, I'll go to advertisement due to time. Advertisement, then I conclude. Advertisement. Clause 17.6 to regulate advertisement of alcoholic drinks. Subclause 2 obligates the minister by regulations to regulate advertisement of alcoholic drinks. In relation to subclause 2, which empowers the minister by regulations to regulate advertisement of alcoholic drinks, we agree with the observation of the Joint Committee that Uganda Communications Commission Act 2013 empowers the Uganda Communications Commission to regulate advertisement in Uganda, and further the Uganda National Bureau of Standards puts in place standard further that the Uganda National Bureau of Standards puts in place standards US EAS 38 2014, which regulates against labeling information that is false, misleading, deceptive, or is likely to create an erroneous impression regarding the character of a product. Therefore, if a provision on advertisement is left in this bill, it will result in duplication of roles in addition to creating of confusion in the industry. Conclusion. In light of the worrying statistics by World Health Statistic Report 2023, which indicates that Uganda boasts a high per capita alcohol intake, topping the list in Africa and placing 5th globally, and the Uganda National Household Survey, UBOS 2021, which revealed that young adults aged 18 to 35 years constitute the highest percentage of drinkers, and further that on average a Ugandan consumes 12.21 liters of pure alcohol annually, hence exceeding safe limits and hence at risk of getting many chronic diseases. We conclude that there is urgent need to regulate the manufacture, importation, sale, consumption, and advertisement of alcoholic drinks in Uganda. The bill, together with the proposed amendments, will go a long way in putting in place a robust and holistic law that will address challenges like illicit trade in alcoholic drinks, alcohol abuse, quality control, and above all, protection of the health of the future generation of this country. Finally, as was noted in the main report, the bill will also fill the gaps that were created by the repeal of the Nguli Manufacturing and Licensing Act Cap 86 and the Liquor Act Cap 93 regarding the regulation of manufacturing, sale, and consumption of native alcohol, which, if left unregulated, will continue to be a danger to both the economy and health of Ugandans. It is my humble appeal that the House adopts recommendations laid down in this report and allows the Alcoholic Drinks Control Bill 2023 to be read for the second time, subject to following amendments. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report.
Thank you. Now, colleagues, I've known colleagues I should take out when I'm broke and those whom I shouldn't risk from how you are reacting. But there are really salient issues which were raised, especially on the constitutionality and all that. Attorney General, I would want to hear from you as we open the debate.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, I must state from the onset that the private member did not get benefit of the assistance from the Attorney General's chambers as required by Article 94(4). And some of the things that I may point out may point to that. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, this bill, in our view, offends Article 93(8)(2) of the Constitution, which provides that you shall not proceed on a bill which has a financial implication on the consolidated fund or on an alteration of the same. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, that is why Article 94(4)(c) and Rule 121 of the Rules of Procedure require a member to get assistance from the department that manages a bill that is before the House. And from the reading of the majority report, you can actually clearly see that the implementation of this bill, if passed by this House, will have an effect on the consolidated fund. So for that reason alone, Right Honourable Speaker, I'd be moving that the bill be rejected by the House. However, I wish to add, let me finish, then you clarify. Right Honourable Speaker, Clause 1B of this bill, Clause 1B of this bill actually contradicts the very purpose of this bill.
No, just please, honorable colleagues, when you say twice, I've heard you. Okay, it's my right to pick you. Yes, and I usually pick depending on circumstances. I just want, even me, I'm guided here. So when I call on the Attorney General, you know that even me as a presiding officer, I want to benefit from his guidance. So Attorney General, please.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, this bill creates also another challenge, which is it offends a number of laws that have been passed by this House. The regulation of standards is under the Uganda National Bureau of Standards Act. As I have guided here before, if we continue with having subject matter laws, it will help us in guiding the nation. So the provisions here that offend the Uganda National Bureau of Standards law should be removed. Again, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, this bill will contradict the Employment Act because it is looking to guide on the issue of employment of persons and minors. This is both governed by the Employment Act and the Children's Act. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, we have a law which provides for industrial licensing. Industrial licensing, when you're setting up a factory, is done by the Industrial Licensing Act. And this is what governs all manufactories. That is big and small. But if we now create another section which is dealing with a section of manufactories, we are likely to cause contradiction in implementation. Again, the National Building Review Board, under that act, we have provided for the management of building in this country. So when we start breaking down these issues into a different law, then that means when we are reading the law in respect to homes, we go to another law, then we deal shops, we go to another law, we go to another law for alcohol, for food. It will become very difficult and expensive in implementing. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, there is nothing in this bill which is not regulated by an existing law, except the time, and which also can be managed through licensing. Yeah, we have licensing laws which license the use of premises in different places. So, Right Honourable colleagues, I strongly advise and pray that in order to avoid causing regulatory confusion, we wholly reject this bill, and then the good ideas that we have picked up here, we can find the necessary laws where they are supposed to be input to regulate the. I beg to submit. I thank you.
Honorable Ogon, Honorable Roland, Honorable Bashisha, Honorable Biga. Then Honorable Cooper. Debate. The debate is. Yes, procedure. Let me first speak this procedure matter.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Before we proceed to debate, my understanding is that once a matter of law has been raised before you, you cannot proceed unless you, the Speaker, has determined. And the question raised by the learned Attorney General is a point of law. And he made reference correctly to Article 93. What is required from you, Mr. Speaker, is to make pronouncement whether, in your opinion, you think by ruling there is a charge on the consolidated. Because if you read this article very well, which says Parliament shall not, unless the bill or the motion is introduced on behalf of the government, and A starts with the word proceed. Even in B starts with the word proceed, meaning at the point this matter of law is raised, if the House agrees that there is a charge, we are stopped from proceeding. If we go to debate now without determining this point of law, it would raise questions. That's why I'm asking that before we even debate, you, the Speaker, should, if you rule that it doesn't, then we shall proceed. But if you say it does, in your opinion, we stop at this moment.
Yeah, thank you. You know, Honorable colleagues, sometimes I try to be as accommodative as possible and liberal because I know the situation, but indeed, like Honorable Jonathan, where the law commands, where the law commands, I'm really, my hands are tied, I'm constrained. Okay? So I don't know, honorable colleagues, listen to me. No, listen to me. This is where the law commands. I don't want to make this decision alone. I want it to be our decision. I don't want it to be, in my opinion, alone. Now, when we proceed to second stage, okay, in case we do, we go into all these details. Okay? We go into all these details. Now, me, to be clear here, I'm going to put for you a question. If you don't want us to proceed, you will say no. If you want us to proceed, you will also say yes. I now put the question that the Alcoholic Drinks Control Bill 2023 be read the second time. Those in favor say aye, and the counter nay. The nays have it. Thank you. Honorable colleagues, House adjourned to tomorrow at 2 p.m.